She even transmigrated into a pure love novel where her younger brother is the protagonist, originally wanting to happily ship the couple. She ridiculously discovered that as soon as her brother kicked the bucket, she would return to the day she first transmigrated. What's even more ridiculous is that her brother has a constitution that attracts countless scum men. He would die if he wasn't careful. Lit, who didn't know about the time loop when she first arrived, silently cheered for her brother in her heart. Anyway, he would be taken sooner or later. Finally, as the plot developed, her brother was indeed forced by their cousin, just like in the book. Unable to bear the humiliation, he chose to end his life at the age of 20. But Lit tragically found herself back at the beginning. In order to break the fate of the loop, Lit made up her mind to protect her brother. She used the washing machine to wash his undergarments and comforted him when he was sad. She protected him when the scum men harassed him. But the moment she wasn't paying attention, her brother was still taken out by a scum gong. She returned to the beginning again. This time she decided to work hard to build her brother into a strong person. Just when her brother lived up to expectations and became a sword master, he was suddenly forcibly kissed by a wild gong. Unable to bear the humiliation, he chose to commit suicide. The fourth loop, Lit decided to carry out comprehensive training for her brother, sending him to school and the nights for discipline. But she waited until her brother was 20 only to receive his urn. The fifth loop, the numb Lit decided to start slacking off. Anyway, no matter how hard she tried, her brother would kick the bucket. But her brother actually smoothly welcomed his 21st birthday, just as Lit excitedly hugged him, thinking the loop had ended. A red-haired woman walked in holding a long sword. "Aish, you dare seduce my man?" After saying that, she stabbed at Lit. Her brother was killed instantly trying to protect her. Lit broke down. Is there no end to this? In the sixth loop, Lit decided that rather than improving her brother, it was better to become strong herself to prevent the tragedy of her brother dying for her. So, she happily ran to the magic tower on the top of the mountain to learn magic. Unexpectedly, she was able to skillfully control the lightning element. Even if she looped infinitely due to her brother's repeated deaths, the knowledge in her mind would remain forever. In a constant reincarnation, she became more and more interested in magic. At this time, her teacher was over 100 years old. Because he had cultivated 6 magic soul rings, his body had long since stopped aging. Lit finally found joy in the endless loops. Going to school made her feel happy. Just as she had cultivated 2.5 magic soul rings and was preparing to try casting a spell, she had just recited 2 words when her brother, who lacked situational awareness, died again. Just like that, in the 10th loop, Lit became famous for publishing a paper on the lightning attribute. She happily enjoyed everyone's praise, then looked at her teacher with relief. The teacher also looked at her with tears in his eyes. Just as the two wanted a hug to celebrate, Lit hugged nothing but air. She returned to that year once again. Lit rolled her eyes speechlessly. How could she forget that she still had an unlucky brother? In the 11th loop, Lit had her own lover. Her brother not only passed the age of 20 in good health, but also had a handsome husband. Everything was going very smoothly. But just when Lit and her lover wanted to drink cross-cupped orange juice, her brother rushed over and took a small sip. Unexpectedly, he finished the drink in 1 sip. Lit angrily told this third wheel to stay away from them. But the next second, her brother vomited 300 caddies of blood. It turned out the drink was poisoned. Lit in the 12th loop finally couldn't hold it back. Losing her reason, she grabbed her brother and flew into a rage. Her brother, not knowing the reason, apologized to her in tears. After calming down, Lit gritted her teeth. It wasn't her brother's fault. If anyone was to blame, it was this damned reincarnation. She wouldn't give up just like that. So this time, she gathered all the teachers to train him. She was determined to keep him alive. A few years later, her brother was drinking tea with his boyfriend. The boyfriend casually joked that if there was poison in the tea, no one would know if they were poisoned together. Just after speaking, he vomited blood and died. Her brother's face was covered in tears. "Why am I fine? Am I immune to poison?" Lit was very relieved about this. It seemed that years of training were not in vain. After that, she set off on her electric scooter with peace of mind, arriving at the magic tower she had been longing for. Just as she was immersed in the teacher's training, sighing that she had finally broken free from the shackles and ran towards happiness, a classmate suddenly told her something big happened and to go out and look quickly. Her brother was currently in a fierce confrontation with a magic tower master. "Evil tower master, let my sister go." Lit looked at this scene, a bit confused, and her brother also noticed his sister's arrival. Just as he smiled and greeted Lit, the Magic Tower Master's attack reached him. Her brother's blood splattered on Lit's face. The Tower Master looked at Lit in confusion. "What are you staring for?" Dragged the corpse away quickly. She reincarnated again. All her efforts turned into bubbles once more. Desperate, Lit began a decadent life, no longer caring about how her brother lived. Anyway, he would definitely die again. She didn't want to live anymore either. But even if she ended her life, the reincarnation didn't stop. She only remembered that she kept crying afterwards, until the 20th reincarnation brought a turning point. This time, Lit found her body unusually heavy. She couldn't help but want to look in the mirror. But the moment she looked up, she was stunned. The self in the mirror looked mature, not like a 16-year-old body. Suddenly, a dark shadow swept past. It headed towards her brother's annex. Sensing danger, she immediately broke through the window and chased after it. Protecting her brother had become her instinct. Even though she knew her brother's ending was still inescapable death, she couldn't suppress her gossipy heart and chased after it. The dark shadow disappeared into a basement. She used the electromagnetic waves of the lightning element to open the lock, but the contents inside left her dumbfounded. She had transmigrated into a pure love novel where her brother was the protagonist. Originally wanting to happily ship the couple, she tragically discovered that as soon as her brother died, she would return to the day of the transmigration. Just when she was experiencing infinite reincarnations and was near despair, the girl was taken to a basement by a dark shadow. Opening the door, she was surprised to find a magic sword emitting an evil aura bound by chains. Generally speaking, a normal person would definitely not touch this sword. But our heroine is obviously not normal. Just as she touched the hilt of the sword, the chains binding the surroundings all broke. Her consciousness was pulled into an absolute territory. A strange voice sounded in her mind. "You're not the original contractor, Rose Zellick. The original owner paid with his life when signing the contract. Because your soul was closest to his, you became his substitute and lived for 65 years carrying the original owner's will. This is also the reason why you cannot walk out of the reincarnation. As long as you help the original owner fulfill his wish, you can be freed from the endless reincarnation." Lit excitedly asked the magic sword what the original owner's will was. The magic sword answered, the original owner's wish was to fulfill his younger brother's wish. However, when the girl asked what the brother's wish was, the magic sword indicated it didn't know either. Lit cracked directly. Truly useless. The scolded magic sword suddenly trembled. Lit didn't expect a magic sword to get angry too. The magic sword explained, when the contractor's substitute receives pressure reaching the limit, the main body will go berserk. By the time Lit woke up, she had already slaughtered the entire ducal residence with a magic sword in hand. Lit cursed the author while vomiting blood. Why didn't they mention such a bizarre setting earlier? Suddenly, a dark shadow appeared behind her. Her brother pointed a sword at her with a face full of disbelief. "Sister, why did you go on a killing spree? From the beginning, I just wanted to be with you." After saying that, he used a bear hug of death. Lit vomited blood wildly. It turned out her brother had been sticking to her like a follower since childhood and didn't want her to marry anyone. Now he was saying "I love you" over and over again. It seems she accidentally turned him straight and removed the sister complex control. Subsequently, Lit lost consciousness because the plot twist was too ridiculous. When she woke up, it was already the 21st reincarnation. She returned once again to a peaceful 16 years of age. Knowing the method to break the reincarnation, her mood was exceptionally cheerful. She even felt the three maids looked lively and cute, especially Becky. She was not only smart, but also diligent. That's why she was sent here as a spy by collateral relatives. This damned woman was the one who poisoned the lemonade, causing her and her brother to die several times. Lit looked at Becky with a fake smile. "Thank you for your hard work. Now you're fired." Becky looked completely dumbfounded. Lit was happy and satisfied, telling her to scram quickly. Then she found Aster. He was not only an excellent knight, but most importantly, in the previous reincarnations, he was never charmed by her brother, and he had a body of strong muscles. It's definitely not because she's lustful. Lit took out a handwritten appointment letter, making Aster her exclusive knight. Then she stuffed it directly into his mouth to prevent Aster from refusing. Next, she had the maid called Dylan. He was the culprit who tortured her brother to death in every reincarnation. He was also Lit's cousin. Lit proudly notified him that he would soon be swept out of the family. Dylan thought she was crazy. Just you, a small fry, dare to threaten me? Lit showed no weakness. No matter how crazy I am, I can't compare to a pervert like you. Then she threatened to tell Uncle Lewis all the dirty things Dylan did to her brother. I advise you to pack up and get out early. You can save yourself a bit of dignity. Furious, Dylan could only rage. Just wait and see. I won't let you succeed. Lit knew clearly that dealing with this kind of shameless person required no mercy. Now, as long as she included her brother Lean in the family tree and removed Dylan from the registry, it would be a success. Aster worried if Dylan would take revenge on Lit. Lit expressed disdain. That kind of cowardly rat has no guts to take revenge on me. Besides, don't I have you, a reliable knight, to protect me? Indeed, a maid suddenly ran in frantically. Little mistress, something bad happened. Didan kidudia. Before she could finish, Lit stuffed her mouth with paper. As long as you don't say it, the audience won't know what happened. That means Lean is still safe and sound now. The maid bit Lit's hand. What are you joking about? The audience wants to see it, otherwise they won't like the video. Lean unexpectedly died again. By the 22nd reincarnation, the first thing Lit did upon waking up was to order the maids to bring Lean. Just wait and see, Dylan, you scum. I will use the ultimate technique honed for 65 years to make you die a horrible death. A moment later, Lean sat trembling in front of Lit. At this time, he was just a servant in the residence and had not officially been recognized by the Duke's family. Lit looked at him with great satisfaction. This shy and delicate appearance was very charming. No wonder Dylan couldn't stop desiring him. Upon hearing Dylan's name, Lean knelt on the ground with a thud, apologizing repeatedly in fear. Lit considerately held her brother's face. Don't say that. Get up quickly, my cute Otudo. Congratulations on becoming a member of the Duke's family. Just as Lean was surprised, Lit immediately stuffed a cookie into his mouth, allowing no refusal. It seemed Lean was very confused about the current situation, but it didn't matter. Lit swore she would definitely let him grow up healthy and happy in the future. Then she dragged him to see their biological father, the Duke. Dylan, you pervert, are going to suffer. She's the strongest brocon in history. If her brother wants 100 million in pocket money, she gives it. If her brother wants a crown made of gold, she gives it too. Even if her brother wants her head to kick as a ball, Lit would give it to him without hesitation, because as long as her brother kicks the bucket, she will return to the day of transmigration. In order to let her brother get rid of the scum gong's entanglement, Lit went directly to her biological father, the Duke, to complain, demanding to include Lean in the family tree and punish Dylan. Hearing this, Dylan shouted at Lit in dissatisfaction. What nonsense are you talking about, you trash? What, you actually dare to call me trash? Then isn't this room I'm a trash can? Then the Duke who is in it is also trash. Good. You dare to insult the Duke as trash. Hearing this, the Duke immediately announced, sentenced to death. Execute immediately. Dylan was shocked. Are you father and daughter both crazy? The Duke quickly stamped the document twice, signing the file to include Lean in the family tree. But executing this bastard requires your uncle's nod. Then he threw the file to Lit. I'm busy as hell. I give you 1 day to settle this matter. Getting the file, Lit looked at Dylan provocatively. Oh my, someone's going to suffer. Dylan was provoked to anger, pulling out a dagger to stab Lit. But the next second, he was kicked flying by Aster. Of course I know you aren't that easy to deal with. Otherwise, did you think I brought a knight just for decoration? Aster, break his arms and legs for me. Then she educated the sweating Dylan. Did you see that? If you're bullied by others, you must pay it back double. Next, she came to Uncle Lewis's room. Lit dumped all the clothes the uncle needed to wash onto the floor. Lewis asked in confusion, aren't these for the servants to wash? The next second, he was affectionately held by Lit, who greeted him, because that servant has better things to do. Then, she accused Dylan of the dirty things he did to Lean and demanded the family execute him. The devastated Lewis immediately agreed to the death penalty. Did you see that? Dealing with scum is this simple. Just as the two were preparing to leave, a man leaning on a cane found Lit. I accidentally overheard your conversation. I heard you want to execute Dylan. Although it is presumptuous to say this, please forgive him. I will compensate you as much as possible. Lit looked at the other party's handsome face and remembered. He was the child of Uncle Lewis's current wife and her ex-husband, which meant he was a son with no blood relation to the family. Therefore, he was not only tortured by the family's legitimate son Benjamin, but also teased by the younger brother Dylan. He even broke a leg due to an accident. Even so, the reason Glenn pleaded for Dylan was that as long as Dylan was there, Benjamin wouldn't go so far as to harm the lives of Glenn and his mother. if Dylan died, the mother and son would also face the fate of being slaughtered. Thinking about it this way, Glenn was quite pitiful. Lit sighed lightly. All right, I promise you. Glenn couldn't believe it. Really? Fake. After saying that, Lit signaled Aster to leave. Glenn hurriedly tried to keep her. Miss, please give him another chance. I guarantee Dylan didn't do it on purpose. Not on purpose? Forcing himself on a decent man, and you say he didn't do it on purpose? Besides, is this your attitude for begging? Shouldn't you kneel to me? Listen well. When begging others to do something, bowing and scraping is the most basic attitude. After speaking, she bid him farewell with a bright face. No matter what, Dylan cannot escape death. You do your best. Leaving Glenn standing alone in the wind, messy. Lit thought that no matter how pathetic he was still a noble and would definitely not kneel to her. Soon she was slapped in the face. Glenn came to the door personally and knelt down. Please, I want to live. It turned out just a few hours ago, Dylan was executed by Lit, but the Duke's family was as busy as ever. No one cared about Dylan's life or death. Aster lifted Lit up and placed her by the dining table. Miss, read it after breakfast. At this time, Lean came to ask for an audience. Little mistress, I wonder if your noble body is well. Who talks like that nowadays? Just say good morning to me. Also, call me sister. Lean spoke timidly. Good morning, sister. Lit was charmed by her brother's appearance. She reached out to take a banana to give him to eat, but her wrist was grabbed by Aster. That is my banana. Lit rubbed her wrist. Who says? Didn't you see I wrote my name on it? Lit comforted Lean. It's okay. You go ahead and eat boldly. Aster has many siblings at home, so he is quite protective of his food. A moment later, Lit took out a pile of portraits worth 79. These are the crown princess candidates recommended by our family. Which one do you think is good? Lit knew well that the crown prince was also a scum who was obsessed with her brother. So only by letting him marry early could Lean be safe. At this time, Glenn came to plead for Dylan again. But Dylan had already kicked the bucket in the morning. He knelt directly on the ground. I want to live. Lit ignored him. Let's continue with our business. Several hours later, Glenn remained motionless, kneeling in the same spot. Lean and Aster couldn't bear it. Both advised at the same time, how about listening to what he wants to say? But Lit indicated she had nothing to say to him. The two had to give up. At this moment, Lean suddenly discovered his sister's name on the list. Lit thought her brother was joking, but the next second she couldn't smile. There really was her portrait recommendation. The reason was that she was extremely compatible with masochists. Lit snatched the photo and asked which fool recommended this. Lean answered nervously, it was Uncle Lewis. The next second, the photo frame smashed onto the head of Glenn, the scapegoat. Blood flowed down his forehead. Uncle must be crazy. By nightfall, Glenn was still kneeling in the same spot, motionless. Lean and Aster couldn't bear to watch. At this time, Lit said, it's getting late. Go back to sleep. By the way, take that bronze statue kneeling on the ground to the guest room. Also, take 3 servants to beat some sense into the Marquis's residence. That way they won't hurt innocent people. Glenn immediately showed a grateful expression. Just as he was about to thank her, Lit cast a cold gaze. You are so useless. You really disappoint me. I'll call you when you're useful. So scram quickly. A few days later, Lit, the greatly filial daughter, got into a fight with her biological father, the Duke. Father and daughter fought for the royal invitation. The father didn't hesitate to disfigure his daughter. The daughter even sneak-attacked her father's kidneys from behind, was seen of fatherly kindness and filial piety. It turned out that in order to find a suitable crown princess, the palace held banquets regularly. As long as one accepted the banquet invitation, one could enjoy a holiday legitimately. And the other person who didn't get the invitation would bear all the work in the family. So, when they saw the royal carriage arriving at the Friedrich residence, Lit and Aster showed that hungry wolf expression. Then she ordered Aster to take her and run fast. Just as Aster disregarded everything and rushed forward with Lit, the Duke also rushed up closely behind. The Duke immediately told William to intercept the two. Lit also told Aster to block William. The two immediately wrestled together. Aster, you've got guts. Daring to attack your father. Old man, you're already a bag of old bones. Don't play with swords anymore. The Duke and Lit rushed towards the gate desperately. Soon Lit caught up with the Duke. So slow. It seems you really are old. Then shouldn't you be filial to your old father? Then a hand chop hit Lit's 1.8-meter nose bridge. Lit felt her father's intense killing intent. Finally, she knelt on the ground dejectedly. The Duke stood before the gate with his hands behind his back, posing as a victor. It seems I won. I didn't want to be this ruthless, but I'm doing this for your own good. I will find a capable mother for you at the banquet to share your work. I'm counting on you for these few days. Unexpectedly, the next second, he was hit right in the old waist by Lit's light-speed roundhouse kick. The Duke instantly sprayed a mouthful of old blood. I was almost persuaded by you. Don't think about finding a new love. You better think about how to write a self-criticism to my birth mother. The royal messenger just got off the carriage when he saw Lit covered in blood and dirt, opening the door with a brilliant smile. He was very confused why the Duke's daughter was covered in blood. And on this side, Astor also successfully dealt with his own father. William wrote 3 big characters' unfilial daughter on the ground with his own blood. Astor revealed a gratified smile. Then he bumped elbows with Lit to celebrate the victory. Long live unfilial daughters. The next day, Lit, who got a vacation, felt like she was 80 years younger. She set off with the convoy early in the morning. Just arrived at the palace, but it was empty. Miss, did we come too early? No, we came just in time. Lit revealed a sinister smile. I planned to bribe a servant to inquire about the situation in the palace beforehand and get familiar with the guests. Suddenly, a strange blond man appeared in front of them. It turned out to be the crown prince. He greeted Lit enthusiastically, but Lit knew well that he was actually a smiling tiger who liked to provoke relationships between the 4 major families the most. Moreover, in the previous reincarnations, he even took Lean as the crown princess, turning the royal family upside down. Lit whispered to Astor, no matter what he says, just laugh ha-ha at him. Then she showed a professional fake smile. I wonder if your highness is in good health. It seems you have been waiting for me. The crown prince also smiled all over his face and said sarcastically, haha, you write letters every day urging me to get married. I was worried if your hands would get tired and short. As long as you can get rid of the tragic fate of being an older single dog as soon as possible, what does it matter if I break 10 pairs of hands? So you say, but I see your small hands are white and clean. I'm afraid you found a college student as a slave ghostwriter, right? Good. This way, even if you suddenly kick the bucket, your letters won't stop. Oh my, oh my. Even the royal family has to enjoy peace under the protection of the Roxburgh Duke's family. Stop worrying about my little life. Hee ha ha ha. You are right. Then I'll excuse myself first. Lit smiled brightly too. We shall take our leave as well. Just as the crown prince turned to leave, Lit and Astor's smiles came to an abrupt halt. This bastard is on par with me. By the way, I still have much to say to the lady. Unexpectedly, as soon as the crown prince turned his head, he saw the international friendly gesture Lit was making with her pen. Astor hurriedly explained, the lady is showing off her rings. Lit quickly chimed in, yes, my middle finger. Doesn't the ring look good, your highness? Unexpectedly, the crown prince also smiled and put up 2 middle fingers. Haha, I'm wearing 2. Lit cursed in her heart. The crown prince is indeed a bastard. At this moment, Astor asked Lit to give him this hard-won opportunity. He was very happy, although the food at the Duke's house was good. But there should be more delicacies at the royal banquet. After all, it was an opportunity bought with his father's blood. To not make a loss, he had been starving since yesterday. Then, just as he told the lady to go eat something, Lit revealed an expression of wanting to laugh but daring not to. Astor didn't think much of it and turned to leave, just as the two finished registering their identities. The herald loudly announced, the young lady of the Roxburgh Duke's family is entering, instantly attracting the gaze of the entire venue. The crowd swarmed up, surrounding the two so tightly not a drop of water could trickle through. By the time Astor reacted, he realized Lit was nowhere to be found. Lit had long since slipped away. She arrived at the dining area, shedding tears of sympathy. Astor, just enjoy this honor for me. Don't worry, I'll write a good food review for you. However, just as she happily wanted to enjoy a crab leg, a familiar voice sounded behind her. Lady, dance with me. Lit looked at the person with disgust. Then she thrust her hand into the thick soup. Oh my, your highness, my hand has something on it. It's not suitable for dancing. As the saying goes, when enemies meet, eyes turn red. Crown Prince, of all people to provoke, why provoke our heroine with the best mental state? He even secretly flipped the bird behind someone's back, only to be caught red-handed by the person herself. himself. The knight beside him quickly smoothed things over. The lady is just showing off her rings. Unexpectedly, the crown prince refused to be outdone and put up 2 middle fingers. What a coincidence! I'm wearing 2. At the ball, the crown prince invited Lit to dance. Lit looked at him with disgust. Then she thrust her hand into the thick soup. Oh my, your highness, my hand has something on it. It's not suitable for dancing. Unexpectedly, this smart-aleck crown prince was prepared. With a snap of his fingers, a maid brought a towel. Lit didn't understand. This bastard clearly hated her, so why stick to her? She didn't expect that while dancing, the crown prince would ask about Lean's situation. Lit's face darkened. Wanting to seduce my brother so soon? You're dead. Then she performed a face-changing act. Yes, my brother is simply too cute. Your highness has sisters too, right? If you want to maintain family harmony, I advise you to tread carefully. So if anyone dares to have designs on him, they are dead. The crown prince didn't care about her threat. Instead, he was more interested. The two greeted each other kindly. Lady, you dance really well. I can't believe a clumsy shut-in can dance so nimbly. Thanks for the compliment. I should thank your highness. Your trembling hands are relaxing my waist muscles. The moment they turned to leave, both wished the other would drop dead. Lit looked around and soon found Aster, who was surrounded by the crowd. After being scolded by Aster, Lit pointed at the food and told him to start his performance. Aster thought about how this was an opportunity bought with his father's blood, and then began to stuff his face. Lit thought about how, while she enjoyed peace here, her father was probably still working overtime due to the pile of official duties. She turned to look at Aster. Are you happy? How about we don't go home? Meanwhile, the crown prince was worrying about how to threaten her. Unknowingly, 2 dark figures quietly approached him from behind. Just as he considered stopping, suddenly Lit came to his ear and gently exhaled. Your highness, I don't want to go back tonight. The crown prince's face twisted in disgust. Lady, are you crazy like your father? Haha, did my father do this to you too? I can pay for lodging. The crown prince couldn't stand her disgusting behavior and had to agree. As long as you don't posture at me anymore. You find this disgusting already? Don't you feel disgusted when you look in a mirror every day? The crown prince broke his defense directly. Nonsense. Why do you keep following me? Lit smiled shyly. I want to go to your bedside and sing you a lullaby. The crown prince finally collapsed, shouting, take them to the guest room quickly. A moment later, Aster noticed a room not far away emitting an unusual aura. His intuition told him there was something eerie inside. Lit activated her Ahog radar. Whoosh, there really is a trace of magic inside. The two followed the magic and arrived outside a locked room. Just as Aster was about to use physical means to open the door, Lit stopped him. Lit asked a maid to call the palace mage. Then she used lightning magnetic waves to open the lock. Next, she pushed Aster inside to check the situation. They saw a jar on the table emitting black smoke. Lit got closer and saw it was a curse doll. This was a type of dark magic and mental magic. But the curse power wasn't strong. At most, it would make people feel body aches or extreme fatigue. No wonder the crown prince looked like he had kidney deficiency after one dance. At this time, the court mage arrived. We saw the cursed doll. That the mage's jaw dropped. If word got out that a cursed doll was hidden in the palace, his life would be forfeit. Lit promised him that as long as he found the source of the dark magic, she would save his life. Then, digging into her pocket, she said to the maid, take this, and forget everything that just happened. Lit was immediately met with the maid's righteous refusal. How can I betray my conscience for mere money? But as soon as she opened her eyes, she saw Lit holding a box of gold bars looking at her. The maid immediately took the box. You are a good judge of character. Just like that, Lit and Aster played until the next day before going back. Lean had been waiting at the Duke's main gate for a long time. Lit couldn't help pinching Lean's cute face. Why is this kid so goo? Is he researching how to become cuter every day? Just as the two were about to return to the palace together, Lit felt an aura from the surroundings. It was the same as the evil aura emitted by the magic sword back then. She then remembered that she needed to fulfill Lean's wish, not just simply let him live. So she grabbed Lean's shoulders and asked what his wish was. Whether material or spiritual, I can satisfy you. Lean blushed and apologized. Sorry, I haven't thought about it seriously yet. But as long as I can be with sister, I'm very happy. Lit realized she was too hasty. She comforted Lean repeatedly, saying it was okay. Tell her when he thinks of it. Whether it's the title of Duke or the lives of those scumbags. As long as you want it, I can do it for you. After sending Lean back to his room, Lit quickly ran to the basement. Since Aster could sense the curse aura, why didn't he sense the magic sword's existence? However, when she arrived at the basement, Lit found the door wide open. The iron chains and the sword that were originally in the room had vanished. A few days later, Lit seriously asked Aster, "Do you think sword can speak? Miss, are you crazy? Do you want to get your brain checked?" Just then, the royal carriage arrived again. The two revealed hungry wolf-like eyes again. The next second, Aster picked up Lit and sprinted. William, carrying the Duke on his back, followed closely behind. The master and servant pair were full of confidence. "It doesn't matter. We will definitely win. The era of old men is over." However, the next second, the Duke actually pulled out a pistol. Unfilial daughter, times have changed. Father and daughter fought fiercely for the royal invitation. What a kind father and filial daughter scene. Unexpectedly, a few days later, the royal carriage arrived again. The master and servant pair revealed hungry wolf-like eyes again. The next second, Aster picked up Lit and sprinted. William, carrying the Duke on his back, followed closely behind. The master and servant pair were full of confidence. "It doesn't matter. We will definitely win. The era of old men is over." However, the next second, the Duke actually pulled out a pistol. Unfilial daughter, times have changed. Bang! A chocolate bullet hit Aster right in the shoulder. The two were scared to death. Haven't you pranked people like this? Stealing a child's toy to scare people. By the time they reacted, the Duke had already taken the letter from the royal messenger. Then he turned back to mock the two. "Did you think I would fall into the hands of you two unfilial daughters again?" The two were extremely annoyed. "Damn it, what exactly is written in the invitation?" The Duke read the invitation carefully, then stole a glance at Lit. "It's better for you to decide this matter. I will fully support you." Lit took the invitation with a confused face. Is there such a good thing? It turned out to be the queen. Hearing that Lit had been keen on tormenting her son recently, she planned to torment her back. She personally drew up a list of husband candidates for her to marry. Her son's name was also on it. If she wanted to choose him, it wasn't impossible. Lit didn't expect that damn crown prince would take revenge on her this way. She had lived for 65 years in total here. She had no hope for love or marriage. A future partner would probably just be for show. Since she had to marry, she might as well find someone capable, obedient, and interesting. Just then, the two noticed an acquaintance in the distance. It was Glenn reading a book on a bench. Glenn also noticed their arrival. He stood up to bow to Lit and thank her for her care these days. Lit, this smart cookie, thought carefully. He seems quite observant, and he's a descendant of a noble family that once had territory. His appearance is not bad either. He's only 20 years old. Then she called him to the study to test his ability to handle official duties. Glenn smiled with a face full of anticipation. Then he unleashed the thousand-hand guani move. He even managed to make a peace sign in the midst of it. Very quickly, he finished organizing all the documents. Lit looked at the detailed report sheets in her hand, dotted in various statistical charts. She exclaimed in shock, "He is a walking Excel." Subsequently, Glenn was actually lifted up by the maids and dragged into the wing room. Lit looked determined to win. "I absolutely won't let this man go." Then she ordered the maids to measure him properly. Measure his finger size, too. A while later, Lit couldn't wait and pushed open the door. "Young master, do you like diamonds?" Glenn trembled all over with shame. I guess I should like them." At this moment, he was extremely terrified. She had ignored and tormented him in various ways before. What was she planning now? 1 week later, Lit took Glenn to see her father, the Duke. Glenn looked at the exquisite clothes on his body. "Does she think I'm useless and plans to sell me to a brothel?" Unexpectedly, Lit praised him. "Young master, you're truly beautiful." Glenn became even more depressed. Lit showed the documents Glenn had organized to the Duke. The Duke read through the stack of reports with a tingling scalp. Then he looked at Lit with excitement. Lit nodded knowingly. The Duke also nodded with a gratified face. Lit swished down on one knee in front of Glenn. Then she took out a diamond ring. "Please marry me." The others clapped emotionlessly in congratulation, while the bewildered Glenn was just bewildered. Am I dreaming? Once he reacted, he threw his crutch far away. The crutch instantly broke in half. Lit, the straight-laced woman, had her mind filled with, "Oh no, I didn't prepare a gift for him." Then she apologized to Glenn. But Glenn said, "That's not important. Even if I'm insignificant, you should have asked for my opinion." Lit didn't understand. Wouldn't the result be the same whether I asked or not? Glenn got angry. "I'm also a flesh and blood person who knows shame." Then he turned to leave. "I'm sorry. I refuse to accept your proposal. Watching the stubborn back of Glenn limping away, that everyone was dumbfounded on the spot. The Duke ordered Lit to chase him immediately. The Roxburgh family never lets go of a capable person. As long as you beg sincerely, you can get the other party's forgiveness. After all, that's how I got you back from your grandmother's house. At this time, William also ran out to stop Lit. No matter how wronged you feel, you must apologize unconditionally. Lit's eyes were full of admiration for the wisdom. Indeed, Ginger gets spicier as it gets older. I will not fail my mission. On Glenn's side, because of his inconvenient legs, he knelt on the ground panting before walking far. Lit arrived in time and gently helped him up. After sincerely apologizing to him, she planned to take him back to his room. Glenn asked with a confused face, "Miss, do you know where my room is?" The next second, Lit accurately stated the location of Glenn's room. Glenn turned his head away shyly. Was she paying attention to me before, too? From then on, his miserable life of self-deception began. Once in the room, Lit told him about being forced to marry by the Queen. It was just a show with Glenn. He only needed to act with her until she was 20. When the time came, she would help him restore his title and let him serve as the Duke's aide. Glenn thought carefully. This proposal was indeed good. Lit was going crazy inside, but on the surface, she had to pretend to be weak. Of course. Otherwise, why would I go to such great lengths? Glenn had one more question at this time. Will it affect my mother and brother? Lit answered with a determined face. Of course not. I will protect them. After being stunned for a few seconds, Glenn covered his face shyly. So I misunderstood her. I accept your proposal. Then Lit put the wedding ring on him. Although we are only in a contractual relationship, I will cherish and protect you. Glenn stared blankly at the wedding ring on his hand, somewhat in disbelief. Then I have a favor to ask. The title young master is too awkward. Please don't call me that. Lit agreed readily, then put on her own ring. Glenn spoke up to correct her. I should be the one putting the ring on the lady. However, Lit said happily, it doesn't matter. As long as today is the first day of our relationship. As a commemoration, let's go to work. Glenn immediately felt like he had been tricked. Very quickly, Glenn finished all the work. Lit looked at the documents in her hand with joy. I'm so happy. Let's go on a date tomorrow. I'll buy you a planner, by the way. Glenn agreed shyly. Then I will finish work as soon as possible tomorrow. Lit was shocked hearing this. What? Even faster? Then we must practice more. Subsequently, she ordered Astor to take the young master to eat dinner together. Glenn looked at Astor, who was getting closer, with fear. What are you doing? I transmigrated into a pure love novel where the younger brother is the male lead. But what she doesn't know is the originally frail younger brother has been bent by her into a Yandere sister complex. At this moment, the younger brother was enjoying dinner. He was very happy to see his sister coming over. But the person in Astor's arms startled him. After learning this person was his future brother-in-law, Lean stood up with a forced smile. Sorry, I don't have much of an appetite today. Then he covered his face and ran away in tears. Lit understood instantly. It seems Lean, this sister complex, was stimulated after seeing my fiancé. But why does Lean like me so much anyway? Lit came to Lean's room. She saw Lean hiding under the blanket, curled up quietly into a ball. Lit explained to him patiently, you seem to have misunderstood something. I only contracted a marriage with Glenn because of the royal threat. When the agreement ends, it will still be you who assists me. And Lean, this little smarty pants, immediately concluded. So sister and brother-in-law are fake playing, and she's playing for real with me. Then he immediately drilled out of the blanket. Sister, I wasn't throwing a tantrum. Lit gently touched Lean's small head. All right, I brought you some food. Eat quickly. Lean gave a obedient image. The next second, he began to wolf it down. Early the next morning, the family of 4 went out together to buy a new crutch for Glenn. They soon selected a shop, but they were reminded by a snobbish shop assistant. The items here are very expensive. Do not touch if not buying. Lit pointed at rows of goods. From here to there, I'll take them all. Glenn reminded considerately, Miss, that's too much money. I can just pick a random one. Lit immediately faded with sadness. I'm so busy every day, I don't have time to spend money. I don't even have a chance to show off my wealth. Apart from being rich and pretty, I am nothing. Glenn panicked instantly. Miss, please buy me more clothes. Just like that, he and Lean hurriedly picked some ugly and expensive things in the store. Then everyone came to a foot bath shop together. Astor ate cake happily. Miss, how about buying the cake chef back too? Haha, then let's show off our wealth properly. Lit felt she hadn't been this happy in a long time. However, the next second, she saw a familiar red-haired man walking towards them outside the window. It reminded her of a certain bad memory. After freezing for 0.01 seconds, Lit used the rock's spreading wings move and kicked the men in the room into the wardrobe with one foot. A dangerous character has appeared. Be good and hide. Hear me? Then she tied the wardrobe shut with cloth strips. That man was Luke, the person in charge of the Schalt group. But none of that mattered. What mattered was that he was a veritable deviant. He would do anything for love. If he took a fancy to Lean or Glenn, he would definitely snatch them away by unscrupulous means. Without Glenn, how would she and her father live? At this time, an attendant walked in. Miss Lit, excuse the intrusion. Before he finished speaking, he was interrupted by Lit. If you know it's an intrusion, get lost. Can't you see we are enjoying leisure time? That won't do. Unexpectedly, the person in front of her took off his hood, revealing his true face. Aster was scared silly directly. Lit remained calm. You have many tricks. Did you learn them when you were a slave? Facing Lit's provocation, Luke just laughed it off. It turned out Luke's mother was a slave, and his father was the head of the Schalt family. That scum violated Luke's mother for fun. However, Luke's talent only gradually became apparent after he grew up. His biological father came knocking and gave the woman two choices: end her own life and let Luke become the family heir. Or kill Luke and become a concubine of the Schalt family. Then his mother gently held his face and taught him a life lesson. To survive, you must be unscrupulous. After saying that, she tried to strangle her own son. That scum father laughed and lifted his knife. Haha, how could I take a woman who killed her own child as a concubine? After entering the family, Luke suffered even more discrimination. He paid with countless blood and tears to climb to his current position. Lit calmly poked at Luke's scars. You must have been left with trauma when you parted with your mother, right? But Luke was still full of smiles. Correct. She was a very interesting person. I should thank Mother. Thanks to her, the lady is so interested in me. Lit looked at his Yandera appearance and felt pity, so she decided to torment him properly. I see you're here to do business with me. You can't have come empty-handed, right? Luke immediately ordered someone to pour out a bucket of jewelry. Do you really think I came empty-handed? Unexpectedly, Lit delivered a light-speed roundhouse kick, shattering the wooden bucket. My light-speed roundhouse kick can detect lies, clear obstacles, and thus see the truth. These things are clearly all items I just saw in the nearby shops. Do you take me for a fool? I know your background clearly. Between peers, let's not beat around the bush. Unexpectedly, the next second, Luke put away his smile. He warned, I advise you to accept this gift. The two hiding in the wardrobe were shocked hearing this, thinking Lit was in danger. They actually exploded with infinite potential, broke the restraints on the wardrobe, and wanted to protect her. But Luke continued with the rest of his sentence. The minerals on this bracelet are good for the body. Seeing the two who suddenly appeared, both sides were stunned. Lit grabbed Glenn's collar directly and was about to hit him. Luke, unclear of the situation, was still persuading her to calm down. Lit, with a face full of murderous intent, called Aster. I'll leave it to you. Then there was a series of forehead flicking sounds. Lit, trying to act cute to fool me? I was afraid you'd fall in love with him at first sight, so I hid them. Haha, aren't I wise? Miss Lit, please calm down. I also have standards. I don't like that kind of wet behind the ears brat. Nor do I like that kind of skinny dog who has no energy at night. Lit felt something was weird after hearing this. The wet behind the ears brat is my brother. The skinny dog with no energy at night is my man. Luke's expression turned strange. That was a prejudice I held against others in my youth. But in fact, your brother has a promising future. If your fiancé has no energy, I can provide the power. Holding a handsome guy in the left hand and a cutie in the right. Isn't that the peak of life? Lit was subdued by his perversion. No, even if joking, you're not allowed to insult my people. Fine. I officially allow your group to open a branch in the Duke's territory. When a crazy woman meets a crazy top, only the crazier one can win. But Luke's level of perversion was such that even the chaotic Lit could only beg for mercy. Luke was very curious. Why are you so good at business when you're only 16? Lit had to tell him the terrible and dark history of the Roxburgh family. It turned out that as long as the heir of the Duke's family reached 10 years old, it was about to begin a 5-year period of devilish training. The narrator knows you don't want to hear about it, so 10,000 words are omitted here. Luke expressed great understanding regarding Lit's situation. The two quickly finished discussing their business cooperation. Just as Luke stood up to say goodbye, Glenn suddenly appeared and blocked him. "Miss Lit, you can't let him go. Don't you think there's something wrong with his words? Everyone has been misled by him. Actually, I'm not that weak at night." Hearing this, Luke turned to look at Lit. "Does this young master mean he has experience in that department?" Glenn blushed and explained No, that's not it. Luke, that smart ass, activated his brain waves and analyzed carefully. "Wait, I get it. That means he has a certain body part that is particularly impressive." Lit's brain crashed directly. "What? Where is that? Why aren't you speaking? Hurry up and say it. It's urgent." Luke also added a mischievous jab. "Is this a secret that cannot be made public?" Glenn was so shy he stammered and couldn't speak. He finally broke down. "How could I admit that I'm impotent in front of my fiancée?" Just like that, Glenn was too embarrassed to say hello to Lit for the entire day. Shortly after, the Duke's residence held a grand night appointment ceremony for Aster. Lit was incredibly excited, showing off to everyone she met. "He's my guard knight. He is my knight." Aster's brothers, the 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th, came to celebrate. But the scene of deep sibling affection didn't last 2 seconds. The 3rd brother led the younger ones in drawing their weapons. "My blade is coated with deadly poison. Are you ready to accept our celebration?" After speaking, they stabbed at Aster together. You jealousy-inducing pighead." Aster laughed loudly and provoked them. "Come on, you bunch of losers." Lit, meanwhile, calmly enjoyed her afternoon tea on the side. Oh my, what a peaceful day. Early the next morning, Aster was happily enjoying some bread when Lit handed him a new schedule. She told him to go train with Lean every day. Aster was heartbroken on the spot. He then began to choke up. "Is it because I eat too much rice, so you don't want me anymore?" "Miss, you can't do this. You know my strength." Lit hurriedly explained, "Of course not. I just think you are very talented and want to polish you a bit more." Aster was still uneasy. "Is it really not because I eat too much that you're selling me by the pound?" Lit looked speechless. "Do you think the Duke's family lacks that little bit of money? I just want you to improve your abilities." "I understand. I will train hard and return to your side as soon as possible. But who will guard you while I'm away?" Lit rubbed her forehead. "I do have a good candidate." Aster added, "As long as it's not Jack Brown. I'd even accept Lord Glenn." However, at the same time, Lit said the name Jack Brown. Aster licked his hand. "Okay, I take back what I just said. Lord Glenn is a burden. He's not up to the task." At this moment, Glenn, who had ears on the other side of the wall, was very dissatisfied and banged on the wall twice to protest. "Miss, your neighbor has no manners." In the end, Lit still had to choose from the elite idiots of Aster's family. She selected Jack Brown as her guard knight. Aster had to compromise. "Fine, there really isn't a single useful person in my family." However, on Jack's first day, he cooperated with Aster to take down our dear Lord Duke. The Duke and the young Miss surprisingly started vibing again. When it came to teasing the Crown Prince, the two hit it off instantly and even started competing and acting crazy. Beneath the Locksburg Duke's residence, there was a hidden secret known to no one. In this place, the Duke's family would secretly dispose of people who shouldn't exist, and Jack Brown was the executioner here. As soon as Lit and Aster entered, they pinched their noses. Holy moly, this smell is pungent. So this place is very suitable for scum to live. Jack was pleasantly surprised to see Lit. "Are you finally planning to get rid of Aster?" Lit replied, "No." Then, she put Jack's gas mask on her own head. Jack's eyes immediately filled with disappointment. "Then what are you doing here?" "Aster has other things to do for a short while, so I need a temporary guard. You will be responsible for my protection for now." Jack turned his head away and whistled. "I don't want to. If you don't want to get fired, hear me out." Jack instantly cowed and knelt on the ground. "Woo, only the Lord Duke can decide my employment. Do you want to be fired like this, or do you want to serve as my temporary guard? Then how long do you intend for me to work? Until Aster can use swordsmanship." Jack felt hopeless about life. Doesn't that mean forever? The next second, Lit threw a heavy punch to protect her own. "You brat. How did you know?" Jack felt wronged. "Think about it. Our whole family is full of idiots. If no one else could learn it, how could he?" Lit was fired up. "Aster, I'll find you another teacher for training. You don't need to guard me during this time." Then she clenched her small fist and gave Jack 2 swift punches as training. "I am the heir to the Duke's family. Angering me won't bear good fruit for you." Thus, Lit solved the temporary guard problem. On the way back, Aster and Jack were still passionately beating each other up. Lit couldn't help but sigh. What a peaceful atmosphere. Just as she looked up, she suddenly froze. The Duke was standing by the window with his hands behind his back. The corners of his mouth curled up into a handsome smile. It really is peaceful, my lovely daughter. The others were shocked. Why would the cunning old Duke show such a sunny smile? In the next second, the Duke was taken down by Jack and Aster. The Duke was terrified. Heroes, spare my life. Aster and Jack were also very surprised. Oh my God, my body reacted subconsciously. Lit was speechless. Why are you doing such strange things? I thought you were a spy disguised as the Duke. The old father spoke seriously and earnestly. Is it strange for a father to express love to his daughter? The next second, Aster and Jack's weapons were subconsciously held against the Duke's neck again. The Duke immediately compromised. Okay, I admit I was a little strange. I know what you're plotting, but your acting is too terrible. I'm someone who is 65 minus 40 equals 16 years old, after all. I know you're about to go to the palace's Western banquet, but absolutely not. The focus of this banquet must be Duke Glenn. I want to introduce him to everyone, otherwise, the Queen will assign a marriage to me. You know this, don't you? The enraged Duke only dared to be angry for a moment. You must have thought I would say that, right? I was actually joking. The Duke turned around and flipped his pitch-black silver hair. How could I watch helplessly and let slip a great opportunity to tease the crown prince? If we go together. Lit was shocked. What about work? The Duke snorted coldly. Don't worry. I handed it over to Uncle Lewis. Will Uncle Lewis agree? If he doesn't agree, it's insubordination. Refer to Dylan's fate previously. Father and daughter exchanged a glance, understanding each other perfectly. They immediately high-fived and started dancing. Lord Duke, you're so cool. It's thanks to you falling for it every time that I never feel bored. Haha, not at all. You are truly worthy of being the leader of the Duke's family. The title of the big smartass belongs to none other than you. Jack watched the crazy duo spinning and jumping. Are they always this insane? Aster was already used to it. Yes, you'll adapt slowly. Once at the banquet, Lit and the Crown Prince staged a hilarious scene of chasing and playing with each other. His Highness the Crown Prince and the Duke's daughter are going crazy in public, staging a hilarious chase scene. Just a few days ago, Lit had Brown thoroughly investigate the cursed doll incident in the palace. Sure enough, as she expected, the one who placed the cursed doll in the prince's residence was a subordinate of the first princess. According to the reply in the intelligence letter, it was confirmed to be a mage wearing a large sun hat, dressed plainly, but moving quickly. Lit looked at Aster and Jack, who were still pinching each other. Everyone, now you have work to do. Jack, you go take care of this person, then disguise it as an accidental death. Aster, you go tell the Lord Duke to plant our people to fill this position. A few days later, people found the body of the palace mage under a bridge. It was ultimately judged as an accidental fall after drunkenness. The cursed doll matter came to an end. Lit came to the room to check on how Lean's dancing practice was going. As soon as she entered, she saw Lean singing, dancing, and rapping. To reach this level in just 2.5 days, Lit was very gratified. She then pulled Lean up to test how his dancing really was. After one dance, Lit was very satisfied with Lean's learning results. She invited him for another dance. But in Lean's perspective, Lit was spinning and jumping with her eyes closed, making Lean dizzy until he fell on his butt. It turned out Lit saw he was too cute and couldn't help teasing him again. She then pulled Lean up. If I practice with you, you should be able to learn faster. From now on, after I finish my work every day, I'll come practice dancing with you. But behind them, Jack saw through Lean's green tea behavior at a glance. He clearly fell on purpose just now. Is she blind? Can't she see that kid is very scheming? On the day of the banquet, the listless trio instantly got pumped up and transformed perfectly. The two, bound by the contract, successfully transformed into a sweet couple. The Duke also transformed from an old man with a past into a middle-aged hunk who was both rich and charming. Meanwhile, Aster and Jack were displaying their deep sibling affection as always. Lit waved her hand to make them stop. Calm down on such an important day. Aster questioned, you said yourself you didn't want to go, so why are you tagging along now? Jack froze on the spot. He couldn't say it was because he was worried about the miss that he came. Seeing the miss looking like she was about to be tricked by Lean recently, he couldn't just watch her fall into the tiger's den. Jack crossed his arms and put on a shy look. That is because Jack's heart sways like a reed. Aster was so disgusted he drew his sword to slash him. Lit immediately ordered him to put away. At this moment, Lean was happily running towards Lit, just as he was about to sit in the same carriage with her. He was grabbed by the armpits by Jack and lifted up. Young master, Your seat is here. Then, he was placed between Aster and Jack. The father and daughter sat in the carriage, smiling strangely. Lit looked at Glenn's shy and delicate appearance with great satisfaction. Young master, you are truly beautiful to the point of sparkling. Miss, could you please stop saying such things? That's right, stop saying it. You should say he is pure and lovely. As the sound of hoofbeats came, the Duke suddenly looked at Lit. Lit, do you hear the hoofbeats? Today is so festive. Even the horses are dancing happily. I heard the horses dancing. That's the horse dance. The two crazy people immediately started dancing in the carriage. Glenn was speechless at this insane father and daughter. Arriving at the palace, the Duke's family could enter directly without queuing. But Aster and Jack were stopped. Weapons were not allowed in the palace. Aster skewered some ribs with his sword on the spot. This isn't a weapon. This is a barbecue skewer. Jack caressed his jagged saw. This isn't a weapon. This is my life partner, Alice. If you don't hand over your weapons, you can't enter and you can't taste the banquet food. Aster immediately compromised and put down his weapon. Jack scolded angrily, you pig. Then the two started wrestling again. This banquet was the Queen's birthday party. Important figures attending included the heir of the Eastern family, Anton, the heir of the Southern family, Dorothy, and the heir of the Western family, Rose. Lit thought, it seems the Northern family is too busy to attend the banquet again. But that doesn't affect what I'm going to announce next. She held lean and proudly introduced her cute younger brother to everyone. And she looked around vigilantly. Let me see which brat dares to covet my brother. Next, she introduced her beautiful and moving fiancé, Glenn. Damn it, the crown prince isn't here. I want to show off in front of him. Meanwhile, the crown prince was admiring flowers in the garden. He picked up a delicate daisy and savored it at the tip of his nose. Found you, my love. But the next second, he immediately threw the flower away and turned to run. It turned out Lit appeared behind him. Your Highness, I'm engaged. Why don't you come and see my cute fiancé? Your Highness is 8 years older than me and still unmarried. How can that be? Unexpectedly, the crown prince used a secret technique, repeated side jumps. Lit was dizzy from his interference. The crown prince successfully shook off Lit's pursuit like this. Who knew he would still be caught by Lit in the end? The two staged another hilarious scene of double madness. The only effective way to deal with a crazy person is to be crazier than them. After a hearty life and death chase, the crown prince successfully shook off Lit's pursuit. Just as Lit was annoyed, her long black braid was grabbed by someone. Lit turned around angrily. Which little cutie is it? She saw the person looking down and scolding her. You dare ignore me? How rude. It turned out to be the first princess, Grace Alien. Greetings, princess. May you have fortune as vast as the East Sea and live as long as the Southern Mountain. I'll take my leave now. Unexpectedly, her long braid was grabbed firmly by the princess again. Aster and Jack immediately blocked in front of Lit. Miss, are you okay? If nothing unexpected happens, I probably have an issue. A strange man also immediately stood in front of the princess. How bold. You dare disrespect the princess? I see you on a rebel. The three guards immediately confronted each other with their eyes. It turned out this person was the eldest of the Brown family, John Brown. Because he fell in love with the princess at first sight, he left his family to work for the royal family. Lit rubbed her clever little head, getting a headache. This situation is bad. John is a royal guard, so he can bring weapons, but our families can't. But the next second, Aster popped 2 daggers from his cuffs. Jack pulled out his belt from his waist. You've been away from home too long. Maybe you forgot. Our family's dogs all bite. By the way, this isn't a weapon. This is my life partner named Dialogue. After speaking, the 3 started fighting. This is my life partner named Dialogue. Having said that, all 3 of them started beating each other up. Seeing the battle getting fiercer, Lit suddenly shouted, the crown prince is here. The 3 siblings stopped instantly. Long sword back in sheath, daggers back in the sleeves, belt back in the pants. The big brother put on glasses and lectured affectionately. Can't you solve problems with dialogue? The younger brother and sister also admitted their mistakes sensibly. We have reflected fully. Lit indicated he was lying. She didn't want to blow things up. It turned out the reason Grace always troubled her was that the Duke's family had a feud with her. Grace almost became the heir to the throne. Both her adaptability and insight were very strong, and she was the princess. she was rightfully considered the heir. But this matter met with extreme opposition from the Duke of Locksburg. He didn't hesitate to throw tantrums in public and used hunger strikes to protest. He even received support from little Lit. It turned out the princess was a severe alcohol addict because she suffered from severe insomnia since childhood. She had to rely on alcohol every night before sleep to drive away the fear of insomnia. The Duke simply didn't want someone with such an unstable character to sit on the throne and leave hidden dangers for the country. But as the princess's long-term punching bag, Lit knew best how to provoke her. "Oh, princess, your lenses seem thicker again. Has your vision declined again? Heavens, it seems your eye disease is really serious, but that you could see me from so far away. I'm truly so moved." The next second, the princess couldn't bear it anymore and slapped Lit hard. Even though her cheek was scratched, Lit still turned her head and looked at the princess provocatively. Instead, Aster and Jack jumped out, shielding Lit with nervous faces. The princess gritted her teeth and endured again and again. Then she beckoned John to leave. John looked at Lit helplessly. "Did you have to provoke her like that?" Lit tilted her head indifferently. Was she pitying the princess? Then she gave him a suggestion. "I found a prince's toy in his bedroom. Stop complaining and watch the princess closely. Don't let her do anything outrageous." Then Lit and the others happily continued searching for the crown prince. At this moment, the crown prince was lying among the flowers. Placed among the flowers, I must also be a beautiful flower. Finding a flower boy in a flower bush is surely harder than finding a grain of rice in the desert. Unexpectedly, Lit was standing by the flower bed. "Oh my, your highness, where are you? Why can't I find you?" The prince was very smug. She really couldn't find him. "Let me tell you a secret. His Highness the Crown Prince has a very bad temper. Just provoke him a little, and he will jump out immediately." The Crown Prince was confident. "I have painstakingly studied how to annoy people to death for 24 years. You think I'll fall for your trick easily?" To his surprise, Lit said, "This flower is really pretty. Pick it for me." The Crown Prince immediately got up and cowed instantly. "Spare me." The Crown Prince was held between Aster and Jack. "Why are you always holding on to me? Since you ask sincerely, I will mercifully tell you. Do you see this delicate daisy in my hand? Let me introduce you. This is my capable, kind, clean, handsome, and shy fiancé, Lord Glenn. He didn't need to be so perfect, yet he happens to be flawless." The Crown Prince was confused. "Isn't that a flower?" Lit gasped. "Oh my, blame my beautiful fiancé for being as sweet and lovely as a flower. It made me mistake it. Actually, this is my real fiancé, Lord Glenn." The Crown Prince heard she was mocking him. "You're joking, right?" "Yes, I am indeed joking, but I'm sincere about Lord Glenn. At the tender age of 16, I'm experiencing the sweetness of love for the first time. But the prince surely knows nothing about this, right? Heavens, I have a partner at 16. Surely there isn't someone in their 20s who is still a single dog? I can hear the sound of the queen's heart breaking. At this moment, Aster was holding a washboard he got from who knows where, making crack sounds to simulate a breaking heart. Lit brightly showed her middle finger this time. "Look, this is my engagement ring. You don't have one, do you? If you lived a bit more kindly, maybe you could find one." Before she finished speaking, the Crown Prince's hand gently caressed Lit's cheek. "Miss Locksburg, you cherish your lovers so much. Why don't you cherish yourself at all? You weren't well-liked to begin with, and now you have a scar on your face. That makes you even less presentable. Who will buy damaged goods?" After speaking, he snatched the washboard and scraped it, making crack sounds. "I can hear the sound of your fiancé's heart breaking." The next actions of the two crazy people made Glenn break down directly. Lit, who had been invincible, was finally forced to break down too. The Crown Prince held the snatched washboard, simulating the sound of heartbreak. "Haha, I can hear the sound of your fiancé's heart breaking. Is that so? Then please remember to trim the nails of the cat in the palace, Your Highness. If anyone asks about the injury on my face, I will tell them honestly that I was scratched by a certain blind cat in the palace." The next second, the Crown Prince was rarely shocked. "Then go get treated quickly." He even bowed. "Please, there are royal doctors arranged at the banquet venue." Watching the Crown Prince suddenly adopt such a sincere attitude, Lit just felt bored. It seems he really is good to his sister. Forget it. I'll just let my hair down to cover it. Soon, everyone returned to the banquet venue together. The Crown Prince spotted Glenn in the distance at a glance. "Oh my, you must be the one Miss Locksburg praised endlessly. The capable, kind, clean, handsome, and shy fiancé, Lord Glenn, who didn't need to be so perfect yet happens to be flawless, right? After speaking, it caused the crowd to burst into laughter. After his brain crashed for 999 seconds, Glenn, who didn't understand, was sweating anxiously. What is he saying? How should I answer? Fortunately, Lit stepped in to save the situation in time. She took Glenn's arm and introduced him. Thank you for taking care of Lord Glenn, who is visiting the palace for the first time, and talking to him. But as you can see, my fiancé is very shy. With you speaking so intimately to him, he's so nervous he doesn't know what to do. Then she secretly annoyed herself in her heart. I was careless. This guy actually targeted Glenn while I wasn't paying attention. The Crown Prince grinned. Are you showing off? Not all. I'm just stating facts. Since you were so considerate of him, why bring him here? Since Lord Glenn's constitution is so inconvenient, it would be better for him to rest at home. If I could, I'd wish to chain him home for my eyes only. But today is the Queen's birthday, after all. How could I not introduce the person I cherish most to her? The air was instantly filled with the smell of gunpowder between the two. Glenn was sweating profusely from anxiety. No, don't drag me into this. Luckily, the Queen came out to smooth things over in time. Oh my, you two are really so in love. Lit held up a finger. No, this isn't all. My fiancé is particularly amazing in a certain aspect. Glenn pounded Lit with his small fists in shame. What are you saying? William continued to add fuel to the fire. Lord Glenn can calculate 6-digit penalties, and his singing skills are also outstanding. Lit shouted directly. His brain, with an IQ of 280, is omnipotent. His soft voice rivals a superstar, dying of social death. Glenn looked up to the sky and howled, I beg you, stop talking. Although it was the Middle Ages, Lit skillfully pulled out a microphone. His existence is simply a miracle. Today, let us specially interview the perfect Mr. Glenn. Glenn, having no face to see anyone, manually mosaicked himself. But in a moment of inattention, the Crown Prince walked straight towards Lean. Damn it, this bastard shifted targets again. Lean bowed to greet the Crown Prince. That dazzling and charming appearance made Lit tremble with fear. The atmosphere gradually became scorching. You look really like Miss Loxford. You look like you have ulterior motives. Lit immediately ran over and shielded Lean in her arms. Are you harassing my brother? Please mind the royal face. Don't think about hitting on my brother. Look at how old you are. You should just obediently go on blind dates. After speaking, she led Lean away to dance, leaving the Crown Prince stomping his feet in anger on the spot. What nonsense are you saying? You crazy woman. Lit and Lean began to dance in the center of the dance floor. Lean whispered in her ear, are you feeling better now? The atmosphere just now seemed a bit off. Lit didn't mind it much. It's not like the Crown Prince goes crazy for just a day or two. You don't need to worry. But Lean and the Crown Prince had already met. One slight misstep, and the romance plot in the novel would be triggered, leading to their hearts beating for each other, viewing love as a raging fire. That absolutely cannot happen. He cannot fall into that cycle again. Otherwise, but at this moment, Lean tightened the hand placed on Lit's waist, his expression becoming serious. Sister, do you not like dancing with me? No, I'm very happy. Lit was shocked. He's actually saying this to me while acting pitiful. No wonder the men in the novel were all fascinated by him to the point of losing their souls. The dance ended. It was time for Lit's favorite swing dance segment. She was scattering flowers, happily going to find her old father, the Duke, to dance. Unexpectedly, the Duke was dancing with another woman. The two stood in the dance floor, swaying to their heart's content. Lit was very angry. This is swing dance. You should be dancing with me. She only saw the Duke cast a cunning smile. Detestable. He betrayed me on purpose. The abandoned Lit discovered that her companions had also disappeared. Where did everyone go? I don't even have a partner yet. My swing dance song is almost over. Is there no one who can dance with me? Just as she was about to despair, a pair of familiar long legs appeared before her. Luke was looking at Lit with a smile. Oh hey, miss. Lit wept with joy. I am truly so happy. Then she pulled up Luke and the Duke, and the two pairs battled in dance. After the Crown Prince, that lunatic, went wild, Lit was betrayed by her funny idiot father again. Not only did he cause her to find no partner, but he also provoked her with a face full of evil. Seeing the Duke dragging his partner and showing off gorgeously, Lit showed no weakness and directly spun Luke like a top, followed by a knee attack, making him half kneel on the ground. She sat on his knee, pretending to be noble. Word title, Who Made Me a Princess? How could the Duke show weakness? He directly threw his partner into the air, almost overturning the stage. Lit fiercely jumped onto Luke's shoulders, opening her arms in freedom. Work title, What is Beyond the Sea? Luke, who was about to collapse, shouted tremblingly, "You two lunatics, stop it quickly." Lit laughed arrogantly, "Haha, I don't want to." And the Duke also roared, "No one can stop me." Unsurprisingly, he was stopped the next second. The husband of the Duke's partner appeared just in time. "How can you treat my wife like this?" Knowing he was in the wrong, the Duke apologized with a face full of gloom. Then he threw himself into William's arms with a face full of grievance, crying. Lit laughed, gloating over his misfortune. "Haha, how ridiculous. Who told him he had to outshine his own daughter?" Then she wanted to find Luke for another dance. Unexpectedly, Luke, who had only exercised for a short while, was now so weak he was about to dissipate with the wind. This doesn't resemble the exercise volume of you in front of the screen. Lit had to let him go and turn to look for a new hunting target. At this time, Glenn was boringly killing time. Lit appeared in front of Glenn, pulling him to go dance. The light shone on Lit, making her look so dazzling at this moment. "It's okay. This song has a slow rhythm. You can dance to it too." Glenn looked at their tightly clasped hands, dazed. But with his inconvenient legs, he was still somewhat resistant. Lit told him, "Don't worry, just follow me." Then she gently guided Glenn to dance. The two in the dance pool instantly became the focus of the whole venue. "Miss, I'm sorry. It's all my fault that you can't dance properly." "Oh my, didn't I tell you not to worry? Didn't you feel it?" Although they didn't say anything, they are actually obviously all jealous that I have such a capable and handsome fiancé like you. You have to have confidence in yourself. Then she led Glenn step by step, dancing slowly. Unexpectedly, Glenn accidentally stepped on Lit's foot. "Sure. Sorry. It's okay. If you feel bad about it, I'll step on you too." However, Lit just placed her foot on Glenn's shoe and tapped it lightly. The warm gesture moved Glenn very much. "Miss, meeting you is the honor of my life." Lit laughed cheerfully. "Haha, of course. Don't you see who I am?" After the banquet ended, the Duke of Locksburg's family returned to its usual busyness. Just then, a maid came to inform that the thesis and bribe she sent to the Magic Tower had all been returned. Lit had sent theses to the Magic Tower 11 times. This was the first time they were returned. Intuition told her something happened to the teacher. Lit was shocked when she saw the content of the letter. It turned out the teacher had been missing for a long time. What she didn't know was that the teacher had fainted in the wild several days ago. Zell woke up. The teacher clutched his head, painfully murmuring, "Who am I? Where am I?" Losing his memory, he looked at his reflection in the lake and quickly understood everything. "So that's it. I'm a sexy, handsome man." At this moment, a cry of alarm came from the side. Two grown men were actually chasing a little girl. In the next second, the sky collapsing, earth-shattering purple lightning descended from the sky, directly roasting the two into charcoal grilled pork chops. The girl was deeply moved. "Thank you for saving me. How should I repay you?" But Zell was still immersed in his own cool and unparalleled lightning magic just now. However, he confirmed a fact once again. "I'm a great mage who is sexy, has a story, and is powerful. As the protagonist of this story, I am destined to open the prelude to a heroic epic." When Zell followed the little girl back to her home, the girl's mother not only wanted to give him the house, but also wanted to take off her own clothes for him to sell for money. Zell saw through their strangeness at a glance. "What are you planning? Tell me the truth." The girl's mother had to confess. It turned out the Lord's atrocities had become more severe recently. He actually forcibly collected high taxes. Even though everyone wanted to protest, they were afraid that if they angered him, he would send mercenaries to slaughter the villagers, just like they chased the little girl just now. "But if you are in our village, the Lord won't dare to invade at will. So even if we give the house to you, we will not hesitate." These words made Zell's inner sense of justice explode instantly. Then, with his own strength, he wiped out the local abominable nobles. Who has the next dream? Just like that, the revolution of the hero Zell Oswald began. After dragging the teacher back, Lit regretted it endlessly. "Damn it, should I just kill this lunatic?" A black shadow accompanied by lightning suddenly appeared outside the window, scaring the idiot Lit into screaming. As a result, the person climbing in from the window was also startled. Both sides clutched their frightened little hearts, speechless for a while. "What are you screaming for? Can't you use the front door?" It turned out the visitor was the third son of the Brown family, Will Brown. After 2 years, he finally found out the whereabouts of Lit's teacher, Zell. Zell is currently in the territory of Baron Bellochi. He is the leader of a large bandit gang in that area. Speechless, Lit was extremely speechless. She didn't expect her outstanding magic teacher to actually become a bandit chief. Will held the intelligence and continued to report. When the small and medium-sized bandit gangs in the Bellochi barony were fighting fiercely, Zell Oswald suddenly appeared. After he joined forces with the Cinder Bandit gang, with overwhelming strength, he unified the local bandit groups and was successfully elected as the leader. Zell seems to not remember anything from before. Lit couldn't help but roast. Could it be he has amnesia? How can it be so ridiculous? This isn't listening to a manhwa commentary. Okay, it seems we are indeed listening to a manhwa commentary. But the point now is, we must stop him before the teacher becomes a real criminal. Then she instructed Will, you must bring the teacher back safely at all costs. Remember, you must treat him with courtesy. Will accepted the order with a solemn face. Then he jumped down from the window again. A few days later, Lit opened her room with a bright face. But in the next second, her pupils quaked. The teacher was bound by his feet and discarded casually on the sofa. The lightning and thunder outside the window resembled Lit's mood at this moment. She silently backed out of the room, pretending nothing happened. Stinky brat, I clearly told you to treat the teacher with courtesy. Sure enough, not a single person in the Brown family is normal. Speaking as if there are normal people in this manhwa. A few days later, Zell was frantically consuming 2 cups of peach ice city. Lit, why is there no boba in the taro boba? And there are no pearls in the bubble tea. If I say don't put them in, do you really not put them in? Why do you just not understand my heart? Lit was tortured into speechlessness. So she had a thought of deceiving her master and destroying her ancestors. Should I just kill him? It's all because that idiot will anger the teacher back then, forcing me to bow and scrape here to clean up the mess. The drooping Lit had lost the light in her eyes. Sorry, my fault. But no matter what, she still had to study with the teacher. Lit brought a thesis to show him. Teacher, look at what this is. Zell's eyes revealed a university, student-like, clear stupidity. Oh my, what is that? This is the thesis you wrote. Zell looked innocent. What is a thesis? Lit could only patiently hand the thesis to Zell. You know, if you look. Zell was shocked after reading it. You're saying I wrote such an excellent thesis? It seems I really am a great mage who is both sexy and has a story. Lit took the opportunity to press. Haha, that's right. So do you remember anything? Zell's eyes once again revealed clear stupidity. Lit couldn't hold it back. Damn it, should I kill him? I worked so hard to bring him back, but he has no utility value at all. Although the teacher has amnesia, his mana is still very strong. Maybe it's precisely because his brain was reformatted that his lunatic nature is gradually being exposed. Zell lay on the table, asking Lit over and over again. Say it again. Who am I? You are the genius great mage with 7 magic soul rings, Zell Oswald. Say it again. Am I really that amazing? By night, Lit, who had been mentally tortured all day, could finally rest in peace. Unexpectedly, Zell poked his head out from under the bed. Lit, listen to me. Under Zell's repetitive torture of doing nothing every day, Lit finally collapsed, shouting for mercy. Teacher, why don't you just go back to the magic tower? Please, the world there needs you to save it. Just like that, Lit successfully sent Zell away. When night arrived, Glenn carried a thick stack of documents and placed them on Lit's desk. I have already finished organizing today's documents. Seeing such a virtuous little husband, Lit had a thought. If you don't mind, let's get married as soon as possible. Unexpectedly, before she finished speaking, she was firmly rejected by Glenn. Don't even think about it. I will absolutely not marry you. The usually obedient little husband refused to agree to his wife's proposal, no matter what this time. Lit was very puzzled. Young master, what is wrong with you? I'm Yufine. Anyway, I've finished all of today's work. I have to go. Lit collapsed on the table, pulling Glenn and begging bitterly. Oh my, young master, just tell me. Why have you become so hard to get along with recently? You aren't close to me anymore either. Instead, you only tell my father if there's anything. At this moment, Luke suddenly pushed the door open and barged in. Miss Lit, I brought super shocking news. It's really super shocking. Lit grabbed Luke's collar. Do you not want to live anymore? Daring to trespass into the Duke's residence. No, in order to tell you this news as soon as possible. I didn't hesitate to spend 1 cent to bribe the guard. Lit obviously didn't believe it. You brat, you're definitely here to bargain with me again. "Cunning fellow, go back quickly. Otherwise, I will hold you accountable for the crime of trespassing in the Duke's residence." Luke touched his own head that was in imminent danger. "But His Highness the Third Prince is coming." The three were shocked simultaneously. Glenn was very curious. "Who is that?" "It's the third prince of the Lager Empire." "So what does he actually do?" "He is the third prince of the Lager Empire." Glenn got anxious. "I'm asking what is so amazing about that person." Lit and Luke made a heart shape with their fingers together. "He possesses God-given chest, muscles, and thighs. And he also has a butt line. Furthermore, he is very handsome." Glenn covered his face, speechless for a while the lecherous duo was very excited. The two agreed that when the third prince visited, they must go and watch him properly. But Lit had not received an invitation to visit the palace. "What should I do? Do I have to go fawn over the queen or the crown prince?" Luke told her, "Don't worry. I got the opportunity to hold the banquet, so I can take someone to attend. Do you want to be my companion? However, I'm actually here to make a deal with you." Lit agreed immediately without thinking. Just as the two reached an agreement and bumped fists, Glenn walked between the two with a face full of displeasure. Lit, the straight girl, was still looking at Glenn in confusion. Glenn walked to the door of the room and stopped. After letting out a long sigh, he seemed to have made a major decision. With tears in the corners of his eyes, he looked at Lit aggrievedly. "I will absolutely not marry you." Then he slammed the door and left with a bang. Jack looked at the straight man and straight woman group, who were both dumbfounded, helpless for a while. "Sigh, miss, since you're indifferent to young Master Glenn, I will go check on him. So if that guy dares to plot against you, use this sharp blade coated with deadly poison to twist 3 times in his stomach." Lit held the knife and looked at Luke triumphantly. "All right, let's continue chatting." However, Luke brought up a sore subject. "But where did Lean go?" In the next second, Lit stood up with a swish holding the knife, scaring Luke into explaining hurriedly. "I purely just wanted to say hello to him. I didn't mean anything else." Lit was smiling on the surface, but remembering in her heart. In the 4th or 5th reincarnation, this brat became exasperated to get Lean and even use a knife on him. "Haha, I was joking too. Did you think I would really kill you?" Luke echoed on the surface. "Haha, that's true." But in reality, he cursed in his heart. "Of course you would. The Locksberg family, for the sake of profit, can even eliminate royal family members without anyone knowing." Then he immediately stood up to take his leave. "It seems I have to go home and amend my will." Whenever Lit thought of the upcoming banquet, her little heart would thump wildly. Poor Glenn only occupied the smallest space in Lit's brain. Several days later, Lit had stayed up until she was delirious. Because she had been staying up late, she felt like she was about to meet God in the next second. Ever since hearing the news of the third prince's visit, she sent a request letter to the crown prince and the queen. The crown prince naturally ignored her letter. Fortunately, the queen readily agreed to her request. However, at this moment, there were only 4 days left until the banquet. She had to finish all work within 3 days. Jack looked at Lit's crazy appearance and was very worried. Mrs. Current mental state resembles those lunatics who were just released from school. However, in the next second, the soft-hearted god appeared. Glenn appeared in front of Lit, looking worried. "Drinking too much coffee is bad for your body. Just how much did you drink? I really can't do anything with you. Do you like the third prince that much? Must you see him?" Lit answered decisively, "Yes. Of course it's necessary." After a brief silence, Glenn considerately pulled Lit up. "Give the things to me. Leave the rest to me to handle. Always staying up late like this. In the end, if you drag a tired body to see the third prince, how can you leave a good impression on him?" Lit stared blankly at Glenn. Somehow, she suddenly wanted to reach out and pat his head. Unexpectedly, in the next second, due to overwork, she lost her balance and fell into Glenn's arms. The ambiguous scene startled Jack, who was concentrating on sharpening his knife. Then he quickly turned around. Just like that, Lit slept super soundly the day before the banquet. Poor Glenn was still working for her with tears streaming down his face. Lit was using the 18 dragon subduing palms, frantically groping the third prince. The man's chest muscles are sick. Kind Lit, in order to treat his illness, used a killer move, Thousand Hand Guanyin. With a superb speed of 800 times per second, she frantically rubbed the man's chest muscles. It turned out that just now, the third prince appeared at the banquet, looking handsome and charming. Lit and Luke were both shocked by his looks. The two sighed in unison. After seeing the third prince with my own eyes, I can die without regrets. However, in the next second, they smiled evilly. Just kidding. How could I let go of this delicious little lamb? Rare to have such a good opportunity. Good things must of course be shared with the audience. Even if I am frail and sickly, relying on my IQ of 250, this little lamb will absolutely not escape my palm today. Soon, the two locked onto the target in the distance. Lit stepped forward with eyes straight and greeted the third prince in English. Ashilo, today's banquet is very grand. The third prince immediately cast a sunny smile. Thank you for your consideration. However, as a guest, I should be the one using the language here. The dazzling light pierced the two's eyes so they couldn't open them. Lord Lit, you can't fall for it yet. At this time, you have to bow to him. Lit hurriedly reached out her hand to the third prince. Your Highness, please shake my hand. As the third prince reached out his hand, under his sleeve, an even fairer skin tone was revealed. The two, hit right in the bullseye, screamed, "My God, I'm really going crazy." Luckily, Luke was still somewhat composed. Lord Lit, pull yourself together. You should introduce yourself now. Lit hurriedly bowed. It is an honor to meet your Highness. I will never wash this hand for the rest of my life. Unexpectedly, not only had the third prince heard of Lit, but he also praised her. Miss, you are different from the rumors. Instead, you are very charming. Very happy to meet you. Lit finally couldn't resist the third prince's charm and stumbled, falling to the ground. And Luke took the opportunity to step forward and bow to the third prince. I am Lord Lit's partner, attending this banquet together. Lit, lying on the ground, finally woke up. Just now, feeling the lingering warmth and the texture of calluses on his Highness's palm made Lit unable to stop. She even put it to her nose and smelled it again and again. At this time, the third prince was puzzled. I heard the princess would also attend. Why haven't I seen her yet? Lit quickly climbed up, very disdainful of the princess's absence. That drunkard must have drunk too much again. The crown prince stepped forward to explain. The princess cannot attend today's banquet due to illness. As a crown prince, I apologize to everyone. Lit suddenly became alert. Is this the rhythm of ending the party? That won't do. It's time to use that killer move. In the next second, she fiercely bumped the crown prince away. Then, losing balance, she shyly fell into the third prince's arms. I was almost about to fall after being bumped. Luke was very moved watching this scene. It's a pity Lord Lit's acting skills don't win a Golden Coin Award. While the crown prince clutched his fractured shoulder, spitting blood. Wasn't I the one who was bumped? Lit leaned intoxicatingly on the crown prince's rich and generous chest muscles. I wonder which handsome, dashing, and suave big hunk caught me. My body is frail and sickly, and I have severe anemia. Please forgive my rudeness. Third prince. The third prince looked at Lit understandingly. It's okay. You can lean on me to stand up. Lit smiled lecherously. Since you said so, then I won't be polite. Then she used the thousand-hand guanyin learned from Glenn. Using the strength of her shoulders and the explosive power of her muscles, she displayed a speed invisible to the naked eye. At a speed of 60 times per second, she frantically groped the third prince. The speed was so fast that the third prince didn't notice anything strange. After succeeding, Lit smiled evilly. Thank you. I'm much better. Originally, the crown prince was watching the show boringly from his side. Unexpectedly, the third prince actually mistook Luke for Lit's second husband. He even praised the two's silver hair and red hair. You really are a good match. Lit and Luke's brains crashed on the spot, while the crown prince laughed frantically, gloating on the side. It turned out that although the law supported polygamy and polyandry, nobles paid great attention to reputation and face. Such behavior would be regarded as the greatest shame. This banquet was nothing more than his scene of social death. Luke hurriedly explained in panic. In our country, noble families usually have 4 or 5 concubines, so His Highness's words were not out of malice. Then he reminded the third prince through gritted teeth. Your Highness, you misunderstood. If my brain didn't have water in it, how could I possibly be with Lord Lit? Actually stealing my line. For the sake of your handsome looks, I won't haggle with you. Lit looked at the third prince solemnly and seriously. Luke came with me just to see you. Besides, my fiancé is particularly energetic at night, so I don't need to look for a spare tire. However, the particularly energetic here referred to Glenn working desperately overtime every day. The third prince looked at Luke curiously. Is he really that amazing? Of course. He is indeed very capable at night. The crowd of onlookers gasped. It seems that Invalid's other leg is maintained very well. At this point, Glenn's image was refreshed to another level. Suddenly, Lit began to miss Glenn a bit. She could enjoy the banquet here, all thanks to Glenn's service. Thinking of this, she felt somewhat guilty towards him. So as soon as the banquet ended, Lit rushed to Glenn's room without stopping. In a remote room lived a beautiful young master. Every day, only the kind Rose-Lit came to visit him. Unexpectedly, just as she opened the door, she saw Glenn stuffing cotton into his clothes. Even more fatally, Aster, who hadn't appeared for a long time, specially prepared a funny joke to steal some screen time. Miss, guess, is there a man in this world who secretly stuffs cotton into his clothes to look strong? After speaking, he saw the two frozen in place, as well as the cotton stuffed in Glenn's chest and the buttons he hadn't had time to fasten. Aster also froze in place. You really are cooperating with me. Poor Glenn was going to run away from home the next day. Lit finally panicked. Taking Jack, she chased with a sliding tackle. The man actually secretly stuffed cotton into his own clothes just to make himself look a bit stronger. However, tragically, this scene happened to be witnessed by the girl he liked. Even more fatally, Aster, who hadn't appeared for a long time, specially prepared a funny joke to steal some screen time. Miss, guess, is there a man in this world who secretly stuffs cotton into his clothes to look strong? After speaking, he saw the two frozen in place, as well as the cotton stuffed in Glenn's chest and the buttons he hadn't had time to fasten. Aster also froze in place. You really are cooperating with me. Poor Glenn was going to run away from home the next day. Lit, who had just woken up, hadn't realized the seriousness of the matter yet. She was still sighing that looking at handsome guys indeed makes one feel refreshed. Just as he opened the window to bathe in the sunlight, he saw Glenn dragging a suitcase downstairs, limping his way out. Lit couldn't believe it. Is he running away from home? Just then, Glenn's servant handed over a letter. Lit took it and saw it was Glenn's resignation letter. She grabbed Jack, hopped onto the stair railing, and slid down in a wild, drifting slide tackle, chasing after him with full force. Lit asked Jack in confusion about the sudden reason for Glenn's resignation. It turned out that Glenn's stuffing cotton into his clothes yesterday had already been spread by Aster throughout the entire Duke's residence. Lit was speechless at Aster. I really thank your whole family for that. Jack stated he needed to prepare some things, so they split up to chase him. Lit slid desperately down the banister. Is Glenn's heart made of glass? It's just that padding his chest was discovered. Why be so devastated? One inevitably experiences a few moments of social death in life. Who knows? There might be even more shameful things next time. I must catch him and bring him back. Soon, she caught up with Glenn. Lit performed a flying leap, clutching Glenn's suitcase tightly. Don't leave me. I won't let you go. Glenn was determined. I want to resign. Don't stop me. Let go quickly. You need to mind your image. Lit wailed. I don't care about that. How can you leave me over such a small matter? I absolutely won't let you go. I can't live without you anymore. Glenn blushed in embarrassment. That's just you. But for me, it's not a small matter. Unexpectedly, Lit started rubbing salt in the wound the next second. I didn't expect our Glenn to take such a huge blow. Isn't it just that padding your chest with cotton was discovered and spread throughout the Duke's residence? Glenn was furious. Enough, stop talking. You really just want to use my scars for your amusement. You don't even knock before entering someone's room. You have no respect at all. Even the tiniest matters get spread around. I'm just your fiancé in name, but in reality, I'm just a tool for hard labor. Lit didn't dare to reply. The current Glenn had finally lost his reason and started talking nonsense. Visually estimating, his judgment is currently negative 124. So it's your turn. Go, Jack. Jack instantly appeared behind Glenn and covered Glenn's handsome face with a handkerchief. Subsequently, Glenn fainted directly. Lit was shocked. Is this the preparation you mentioned? This knockout drug doesn't have any harmful side effects, does it? Jack was full of confidence. I've used it for a long time, and there haven't been any casualties yet. They just sleep for at least 2 hours after being drugged. Lit asking at most. Jack fell into silence. Lit raised her small fist with a dark face. Don't tell me they never wake up? If he doesn't wake up within 2 hours, I'll show you what a living hell looks like. Jack was sweating profusely. Are you going to execute me? No, I will let you bathe in the bright sunshine and play with those innocent children, helping you recover your lost childhood innocence. Jack, accustomed to twisting and crawling in the dark, panicked and shouted, I didn't mean to. Please spare me. Just then, the Duke and William suddenly appeared in front of them. "What are you doing at the door? Let's go inside to play." The Duke learned of the crisis regarding Glenn's resignation. "We need to come up with a solution within 2 hours to make him withdraw his resignation letter while trying our best to salvage him. How about granting him the Baloki territory? Bandits are rampant there right now. It's perfect for Glenn to use some means to straighten it out." Lit nodded in agreement. "Actually, the paperwork is already being processed to grant him the Baloki territory, but might take a long time. After all, he doesn't have the authority to expedite the process." The Duke stood up, sensing an unprecedented crisis. "Glenn leaving would be very disadvantageous for us, right? Let's go see Laos right now. I'll leave this matter to you." It turns out Laos is the king of this country and was once the Duke's best friend. But after the Duke opposed the princess's succession and they fell out, the Duke swore never to see him again. Lit gave a confident, crooked smile. "Leave this to me. For a genius like me, who has lived for 60 years, what is a crown prince?" Soon, Lit arrived outside the Duke's residence. She happily pounced on Elizabeth. "Oh, my little cutie." Following Lit's command to sit, Elizabeth actually sat down obediently. Jack was very puzzled. Is he a horse or a dog? Elizabeth gently licked Lit's cheek. Jack was shocked. Could it be he's really a dog in a horse's skin? Lit mounted the horse and, with a command, galloped towards the palace. At the same time, inside the Crown Prince's palace, the Crown Prince, who had just woken up, was yawning leisurely. "Is it already noon? Seems I slept soundly today, too. Such happiness. Let me bathe in the afternoon sun." But the moment he opened the window, he saw Lit descending from the sky on a white horse. "I'm done for. I rode too hard in my dream and saw a crazy woman riding a white horse coming to marry me. No, she's here to take my dog life." The young girl riding the white horse descended from the sky. The Crown Prince was shocked. "I'm done for. I hallucinated and saw a crazy woman riding a white horse coming to marry me. No, looks like she's here to take my dog life." The next second, he slammed the doors and windows shut with a bang. What followed was the sound of violent impacts. The Crown Prince covered his ears, revealing a gloating smile. Looks like she crashed into something. Just as he was preparing to go back to sleep, continuous banging sounds came from downstairs. What the hell? What is she hitting? Although he knew she was a crazy woman, he didn't expect her to be this crazy. The Crown Prince was weak and exhausted from the loud noise. "Stop smashing it. That's bulletproof glass." Unexpectedly, as soon as he opened the window, he saw a butt-smashing performance going on downstairs. Lit, camouflaged in the crowd, immediately seized the opening. "Elizabeth, now, attack!" Then, with Elizabeth's assist, she flew up 100 floors. Then, using a landing roll with 2.5 rotations, she successfully landed in the Crown Prince's room. As the Crown Prince, sleeping at this hour? "I'm truly worried for the country." The Crown Prince roared. "How does an intruder have the face to say such things?" Lit stated her purpose directly. "I want to see His Majesty the King." The Crown Prince said, "You should apply to the Secretariat. They should reply to you within 3 days." Lit smiled and spoke. "I want to see His Majesty immediately. You just wait slowly then. I'll cheer for you." The Crown Prince turned around, ready to sleep again. Unexpectedly, Lit threatened, "I have evidence in my hand. Proof that the second prince embezzled funds during my reconstruction project 2.5 years ago." The Crown Prince immediately sat up in shock. "I'll arrange for you to meet His Majesty right away. But what evidence do you actually have? If it's just bribery, do you believe I'll pull out your—" "I have irrefutable evidence. I just couldn't bring it because I left in a hurry." The Crown Prince refused decisively. "I don't allow credit here." Lit got anxious. "Then I might lose my fiancée." "Haha, then congratulations to you." The Crown Prince finished speaking and turned around again. Unexpectedly, Lit used her ultimate move. "If I lose Glenn, I will let go of all my obsessions and marry His Highness the Crown Prince." The next second, the two were riding Elizabeth, galloping towards the palace. The Crown Prince roared, "Run faster. Don't stop." When they arrived at the Emperor's chambers, Lit instinctively reached out to support the Crown Prince. However, the Crown Prince landed perfectly with a beautiful pose. "Why did you reach out to me? Don't misunderstand. Because my fiancé is physically weak, I often support him, so I'm used to it." The Crown Prince gritted his teeth. "You two have such a good relationship. So good that I'm starting to ship you too." Soon, they arrived outside the palace reception hall. The crown prince stepped forward to request an audience with His Majesty. He immediately received a summons. Lit went crazy. If the Duke applies to see His Majesty, he wouldn't get permission even after 3 or 4 days. But if his son comes to see him, he agrees immediately? Jack comforted her from the side. Miss, control your expression. If it really doesn't work, just wear a gas mask. After entering the hall, they saw the king sitting on the throne, yawning. As soon as he opened his eyes, he saw Lit. Son, why is a Roxburgh in the palace? The crown prince wanted to answer, but was interrupted by Lit. She then rattled off a whole bunch of polite formalities. Shut up. Just like your father, you talk too much. Thanks for the compliment. The emperor was speechless. I wasn't complimenting you. This king is busy. Speak quickly. What is your purpose in bringing the crown prince to see me? However, the next second, his pupils quaked as he realized something. Wait a minute. Could it be? Lit gave a triumphant smile. Have you sensed it already? But it's too late. You're already sitting here. That person has also arrived at the palace. Charge. It's your turn to shine. The Duke and William had already appeared outside the hall. The emperor broke down. Roxburgh, he actually stepped into my palace. The palace knights immediately attacked. Quickly stop him. William stepped forward to block. Lord Duke, leave this place to me. The Duke revealed an evil smile. Then I'll count on you. The next second, the Duke kicked the door open. Then he revealed a gratified smile. Leos, we haven't seen each other for 7 years and 9 months, right? The emperor's style changed as he went crazy, gritting his teeth and roaring, Edward Roxburgh. Then, the two assumed poses for a fierce dragon and tiger battle. Lit excitedly pulled out popcorn from who knows where. Wow, finally, I can watch a good show. Go, Dad. Next episode, thump thump heart-pounding time. The Duke of Roxburgh versus King Leos in a battle of honor. Who will win? Stay tuned. Edward, you heartless man, didn't we agree never to see each other again in this life? Don't worry, I definitely didn't come because I missed you. Don't think I can't tell just because you turned away. There's a distinct red mark 2 centimeters below your left ear. Obviously, you just woke up. The emperor kept his back to the Duke. That's still better than a work dog like you who works overtime all year round without rest. Appropriate rest improves work efficiency. The Duke was very disdainful. A guy like you who only eats, drinks, and sleeps every day dares to talk about efficiency? Rose Lit and Your Highness the Crown Prince. Take 3 steps back quickly before you get infected by that bastard. Lit and the Crown Prince uncontrollably took 3 steps back in shock. Do we just lose our presence instantly? Don't misunderstand. You never had any presence. After speaking, the two started tearing at each other's hair. The Duke ordered, "Don't force it, you two." The two quickly stood obediently. The Duke looked down at his watch. Oh, no time. Leos, I'm different from you. I'm very busy every day. So let's get to the point quickly. If you win, I will unconditionally agree with whatever nonsense you say in the future. But if I win, give me the Boloki territory. The emperor was astonished. You bastard. You actually came to see me just for a mere territory? That's right. The Duke's expression was solemn and serious. This is a very important matter for us, father and daughter. The emperor used his smart brain to think for a moment. He opened his big mouth and smiled wickedly. Fine. What do you want to compete in? Lit looked at his evil face and really wanted to give him the middle finger. The Duke held up one finger. The rules are simple. Even a fool like you can understand. Let's bet on whether the next person to come in here, starting now, is a man or a woman. This is purely a contest of luck. The emperor chose man without thinking. The Duke turned around. Good. Then I guess woman. The emperor secretly rejoiced. Ha! Stupid Edward. My finance minister who is meeting me soon is a man. In the end, you are the clown. Unexpectedly, the next second, the Duke suddenly pulled open the door and shouted at the top of his lungs. His Majesty the King is critically ill now. The court doctor appeared immediately. What happened? The emperor fell weakly to his knees. Damn it, I lost. What a pair of despicable, rogue father and daughter. I will grant you the Boloki territory as agreed. So get out quickly. A complete victory. This is the power of the Roxburgh family. After returning to the residence, Lit immediately wrapped Glenn in a quilt and threw him onto the carriage heading for the Boloki territory. Seeing the carriage going away, Lit suddenly felt a bit sad. The scene of parting really made her want to drop some little pearls. Goodbye, my walking Excel baby. At night, the Duke was teaching Lit the techniques of writing a reflection letter. Lit finished writing and handed it to the Duke for review. To Duke Glenn, I've already forgotten about you stuffing cotton in your chest. At the same time, I appoint you as the new lord of the Beloki territory. May you use your talents to manage the territory well, thereby soothing your wounded soul. Sincerely, Rose Lit. The Duke retorted, holy crap. This is too straightforward/straight man style. After all, you are a couple, so you could be a bit sexier. To Duke Glenn, you broke my heart. How could you try to leave me? I never want to see you again. Sincerely, Rose Lit. Love you. This sounds too much like a resentful wife. Lit was speechless. Then please teach me personally. The Duke closed his eyes with gratification. Stupid girl, you rely on me so much. A so-called reflection letter isn't about the person writing it, but about considering the person reading it. You can't just write what you want to say. You have to write what the other person wants to see. You're still too green. Unexpectedly, the Duke was just writing a reflection letter for Lit. But at this moment, he looked particularly helpless and desolate. He even shed tears with sincere emotion. The Duke had been sending reflection letters to his father-in-law's house for 20 years. Until today, Lit finally understood the essence of it. Glenn also successfully received the reflection letter sent from the Duke's residence via flying insect post. Glenn Hofen, 22 years old this year. He fainted during an argument with his fiancée. When he woke up, he found he had become a lord of a region, starting a heroic era led by him. The end. Thank you everyone for watching and loving this crazy comic all this time. We'll meet again if fate allows. You were fooled. Next episode, the cheap protagonist brother who disappeared for several episodes reappears. This person whose mind is full of his sister and even made his sister into a body pillow is me. When I was still a baby, my mother left me at the gate of the Duke's residence. The Duke mercifully took me in. He not only raised me, provided me with food, clothing, and shelter, but also gave me things to do. I am very grateful to the Duke and swore to be loyal to him no matter what. However, when I was 10 years old, I saw the Duke's daughter for the first time. Startled, I accidentally splashed dirty floor water on the young lady. I'm toast now. However, just as I was hurriedly kneeling down to beg for forgiveness, Lady Lit looked at me with a puzzled expression and asked why I was crying. I have committed an unforgivable sin. Who taught you to say that? You are so young. Why are you still working at this hour? I replied that the Duke had saved my life, so I wanted to work here to repay him. But the young lady said that regardless, children at this age should receive a proper education. So the next day, she personally enrolled me in the school under the Duke's name. There, I learned to read and write, studied math, and also had my own dreams. It is to become Lady Lit's butler. She was the one who gave me a second life. Therefore, I intend to dedicate my entire life to her. This dream has given me motivation. Despite being harassed in every way by the young lady's cousin, Lord Dillon, I did not yield. I turned that pain into strength and devoted myself entirely to my studies. I believed that one day I could fulfill my dream. However, one day when I was 16, I have discovered an earth-shattering secret. It turns out I am Lady Lit's biological younger brother. She not only brought me to live with the Duke's family, but also dealt with Dillon, who frequently harassed me. My dream was shattered at that moment. I had originally wanted to become an excellent butler to wholeheartedly support the young lady. I want to be by her side when she takes over the clan. Even if she gets married, I want to stay and devote my entire life to her. After waiting a few decades for her husband to pass away, I will give Lady Lit a cool confession once she is single again. Isn't my life plan and grand dream wonderful? I thought the young lady was just joking, but to my surprise, she truly considered me a member of the family and even executed Dillon. However, I quickly adapted to my new role. Actually, I really like being her younger brother, but there is one exception. She is far too unreserved with her biological younger brother. I'm already 15, just a year younger than her. She keeps holding my hand, stroking my head, and pulling me into her arms like this. I might die because my heart is beating so fast, but I will still happily accept it. I still want more. Although my dream of becoming the young lady's personal butler was shattered, I have a new dream. I will cling to her as her younger brother. The more adorable I act, the more she dotes on me. So why not enjoy it? Indeed, this status as a younger brother is great. No one can come between me and her. But that dark day arrived. She suddenly proposed to Glenn Hofen. That man looks like a withered bean sprout. Who the hell does he think he is? How dare he reject her? Wait, no, I should be happy about this. And then there's that terrifying executioner Jack. This bastard is always ruining my good deeds. It caused this younger brother's absolute advantage in her heart to be quickly replaced by two annoying stumbling blocks. My path to my dreams is truly full of hardships. On the day she agreed to practice dancing with me every day, I was just acting cute as usual. That bastard Jack has already targeted them. Ever since he became her guardian, everything has changed. I didn't get to see her at all this morning. It's very rare that I get the chance to sit next to her. That bastard took that away as well. He surely looks down on me because I'm small and weak. Just you wait. One day, I will definitely become stronger than you, and then I will be by her side to protect her. Why did everything turn out like this? That bean sprout guy is clearly very incompetent, but how could she give him that smile? I can't understand it at all. At that moment, a servant happened to bring over a glass of red wine. This was the first time in my life I had ever drunk alcohol. Perhaps because the taste of the wine was so bitter, I couldn't hold back my tears. At the same time, I also resolved that I would absolutely not give up. So that's how you treat your sister? I told you not to mess with her during those days when girls are at their most vulnerable. After Lily found out what happened, she not only did her best to comfort her, but also wept bitterly and made solemn vows. I will definitely find a way to help you destroy your period. Just now, Lit lay weakly on the bed, speechless. Help! This is just a pure romance novel. The author didn't need to include a detail about the female lead getting her period. In other words, the content in a novel can have redundant parts removed according to the author's wishes. Just like a charismatic character, even if they are vivid in a novel, there is no need to write out their daily routine of eating, sleeping, and hygiene. Isn't that right? Similarly, while the protagonist firing a powerful energy wave is obviously important, there's no need to explicitly state that he just had an itchy butt at the time. It's fine if you don't understand the words above. The narrator is just stalling to fill the runtime. Lit, with black lines of exasperation on her head, ate the apple slice that Aster had peeled. At that moment, the rude amnesiac professor barged in through the door. This amnesiac archmage was also the bane of Rose, Lit's existence. Lit immediately shot him a look of helplessness and disgust. Get lost. Unexpectedly, the professor said he had something especially important to ask. He shouted excitedly, "I heard you're sick. Is it very serious?" The next second, he was pinned to the ground by Aster with his bare hands. Lord Zell, wrong. I was just joking. This was the only way to stall for time. Actually, I have something I want to ask you. Don't be startled when you hear this. Actually, I'm being hunted. The next second, two people with red and blue hair, wearing cloaks, suddenly burst into the room. Lit immediately flew into a rage. Who gave you permission to enter? Our apologies. We were chasing the professor and accidentally barged in. But we have already received your letter. We heard that you want to appoint the professor as a researcher under the Duke's estate. Lit nodded. That's right. Red hair and blue hair's expressions darkened. The Modicide has already agreed. But for those of us who secretly protect the professor, once the professor has a place where he belongs, it will be very difficult for us. Because a level 6 mage can be considered an army and is called an archmage. But Zell has reached level 7. If an invincible level 7 archmage joins a certain power, it will surely cause a great stir, even a political issue. That was also why Lit hurriedly brought the professor back. So if this harms Moda, how will you deal with it? Lit snorted coldly. Do you want to know? Aster, show them our strength. A golden light appeared in Aster's palm, and immediately after, several bolts of golden lightning shot out. Red hair and blue hair's expression shifted. So you're here? That same old trick again? Then they shouted, "Bring it on." The next second, a bribery energy wave shot out from Aster's palm. Aster shouted, "Take this." The two of them immediately changed their attitude, flashing V signs. Then we won't bother you anymore. We'll shoulder all the risks. We will definitely take good care of the professor. Rest assured. Then they grabbed Zell by the armpits and quickly dragged him away. Zell cursed, "You bastards." Lit waved his hand in satisfaction. The research lab is ready. Someone will take you there. Just as Lit was thinking to himself that he could finally get some proper rest. Then Leon burst into the room again, tears streaming down his face. "Sister, are you okay?" Lit told him not to worry. She just had a pain in her lower abdomen. Leon was very confused. "Why do you have a pain in your lower abdomen?" Aster said it was fine. "I get like that sometimes, too. It involves some bleeding, but as long as you supplement your nutrition, it's no problem." Hearing this, Leon was scared out of his wits. "What? You're bleeding?" Lit had a splitting headache and didn't know where to begin explaining. "I beg you both to stop. If this keeps up, I'm really going to go crazy." Leon was very worried, gently comforting Lit with his palm. Lit lay weakly on the bed, unable to find the words to speak. Lit coughed softly twice. I'll be fine after resting for 2 days. Compared to that, doing my work for me must be much harder for you, right? Leon shyly bowed his head. It's all right. It's an honor to be able to share the workload for my sick sister. Now that Glenn isn't here, you will definitely have a harder time. At this moment, Lit sat up. Our Leon is so kind-hearted. But I have a request. While you're filling in for me, if anyone asks where I've gone, just tell them that I'm on my period and resting. There's no need to explain too much. Leon's eyes were filled with heartache. Yes, I promise. Aster then dragged Leon outside. Leon turned back reluctantly and shouted, Sister, even if you give up, I definitely won't, so rest assured. I will definitely find a way to destroy periods for you. Even if my bones are crushed and my flesh is torn, I will do it. So please, 1,000 times over, don't give up. Aster couldn't listen any longer and quietly pulled Leon out of the room. And so, after taking the medicine, Lit finally had a good night's sleep. The next day, the maids were dumbfounded. Even though her face was twisted in pain, Lit stood up tenaciously. Just because today was the party hosted by the Chartres group, it was a chance to see the handsome hunk, the third prince, again. Let's go to the party together. The maids tearfully tried to dissuade her. Miss, please reconsider. If you push yourself, something might happen. Lit spoke coldly, cut the crap. The next second, she looked as if she was experiencing a terminal lucidity. My body is perfectly fine. However, once she arrived at the banquet, having finally managed to see the third prince, Lit was solely focused on hooking him. Even if the pain felt like menopause, she had to attend the banquet, just to catch a glimpse of those chocolate big tits. Upon learning this, Luke was full of admiration. To you, a crisis is just the biggest opportunity, right? That's right. Although I am currently frail and pitiful, a crisis represents an opportunity. This is the Loxberg family style of doing things. I must use my period to regain the third prince's favor. After listening, Luke clapped perfunctorily. I see. Then came an awkward silence. Luke was puzzled. Why don't you look excited at all? Luke scratched his head in panic. Hee. It's all right, I guess. Just then, Leon appeared nearby, asking worriedly, Sister, why are you here? Lit was surprised by Leon's arrival. Unbeknownst to her, Luke was trying to sneak away in the background. She quickly ran to Leon's side and grabbed his hands. Leon, you look so cute today, wearing a light cyan tailcoat, twisting your graceful figure. Walking over here, crisply like a honey pomelo, beautiful as a holy angel. But why are you here? Wasn't I the guest for the banquet? Leon pouted his lips in feigned ignorance, sticking out as little, but as if he knew nothing. After Lit's little brain froze for 999 seconds. Jack, bring that red-haired bastard to me. The next second, Jack used his 40-meter-long arm to grab Luke by the ponytail. He then dragged him back and forced him to kneel before Lit. Luke Chartres, I invited you to the royal banquet to fulfill our contract. Luke explained frantically it was young Master Leon who said you were unwell, Miss Lit, and that he would attend in your place. So I was just following orders. Just then, Leon suddenly appeared behind Lit, looking down and muttering to himself, Period pain isn't a disease, but it hurts like hell. Then he roared, Can't you treat yourself better? Can't you think more about those of us who care about you constantly? The above scene was purely a fantasy. In reality, Leon was apologizing to Lit submissively. Lit said it's okay. I'm fine now. You should go home and continue your work. She turned to leave. Leon still wanted to dissuade her. Even if I have to stay up all night, I'll finish the work on time. But right now, the most important thing is, before he could finish, Lit interrupted him sharply. Are you trying to disobey my orders? Her rare, cold expression startled both Jack and Luke. Leon trembled, daring not to refute again. He quickly bowed to Lit. I'm sorry. I'll go back right now. Lit snapped her folding fan open to cover her face. That's more like it. No matter how cute you are, I won't allow you to be insubordinate. Suddenly, Luke handed her a wooden stick. Miss Lit, take this. Hold it steady. Just as Lit was asking what it was for. Third, the prince's familiar and stunning back appeared nearby. He was flushed and sweating. Several crystal-clear beads of sweat were sliding down from his generous and wealthy chest muscles. Such a dazzling shockwave made Lit and Luke cry out that they couldn't handle it. They planted the wooden stick firmly in the ground to prevent being blown away. A trap. This is all a trap. I definitely won't fall for it. But the next second, Lit realized with trembling pupils. What did he just say? He actually said he's been watching Leon all this time. The third prince turned his head with ill intentions, looking at the innocent Leon. We must enjoy this banquet thoroughly. Lit gritted her teeth and cursed. Screw you. You stinking roasted chicken. She then picked up a table from out of nowhere and flipped it. Stop it right now. Holy crap, what kind of stupid comic is this? She quickly pulled Leon into her arms, holding the wooden stick and warning sternly, "Are you blind? Can't you act like a human being? Leon is just a child. You pervert. Even showing your chest won't work. Get lost." The above scene was also a fantasy moment. In reality, Lit held back her expression that was on the verge of collapsing. Professional fake smiler, you have a point. But he still has to return to the estate to handle some official business and cannot get away for now. Besides, the person representing the Duke's family at this banquet, that is me. The third prince's eyes were full of disappointment and reluctance. Lit held back until veins popped on her forehead. You've only known him for a few hours. And you're already enacting a life and death separation scene with me? Did you feed your conscience to a dog? Just as the two were at a stalemate, Leon stepped in to smooth things over. All right, you two. It'll be fine as long as I leave, right? So please stop arguing. Lit shielded Leon behind her, threatening, I advise you to stay away from him. Unexpectedly, the third prince ignored Lit's warning. He lunged between the two in a single step. My dear, the first time I met you, I realized you're a kind person. Lit's face twisted. My dear, you actually dare to call him my dear? Jack and Luke were watching the drama from the side. Luke looked gloatingly happy. Did you see that? Miss Lit broke her fan with one hand. Looks like someone is going to be in big trouble. Amen. May God bless him. Then, feinting a move, he slid in to try and stop the farce. The next second, he was pinned to the ground by Jack. Stop it. Luke grimaced in pain. Wrong. I was wrong. I'll listen to you. Just then, Lit suddenly let out a loud sneeze. Leon immediately turned around, very worried. Sister, are you all right? Lit, her scheme successful, rejoiced secretly. See that? No one can resist the charm of a frail woman. Not even Leon. Jealous? Angry? Annoyed? Hee. This is the difference between you and me. I call this move all is fair in war. Then Lit trembled and let out another sneeze. The next second, a steel fork grazed past the third prince's plump buttocks. Then Lit collapsed weakly to the ground. The steel fork had grazed past the third prince's plump buttocks. Lit shouted internally, fast as lightning, "That's me. Slay all impurities." Then she stumbled and fell to the ground, trembling weakly. I'm sorry. It's all because of the sneeze. Leon stepped forward worriedly and reached out his hand. Sister, I'll help you up right now. Then the two performed a melodramatic scene of deep sibling love in front of everyone. The third prince was speechless. Wait a minute, didn't she almost kill me just now? Unexpectedly, Lit opened her bloody mouth again. The third prince panicked. No way, you're doing it again? Surprisingly, Lit just sneezed weakly. What's going on? Did I see it wrong? The third prince walked up to Lit. Miss, let me help you up. But the next second, a dagger accompanied by Lit's sneeze flew past the third prince and stuck straight into the ground. Oh my, I'm really sorry. I thought I grabbed a rope. I didn't expect it to be a dagger. Leon and the third prince broke out in a cold sweat from fear. Luke, who was currently in a bondage play with Jack, shouted from the side, You did it on purpose. Every move of yours was carefully designed. Lit rage, shut up. It's called a conditioned reflex. The third prince stood up to leave. If we continue, it will trouble the guests. I'll go back first. By the way, Leon, if you have time in the future, can I visit the Duke's estate to see you? Lit's eyes blazed with fury from the side. But in the filter of this sister-complex perspective, it turned into, Sister is clearly very unwell, but she's still trying hard to hold on for the sake of appearances. Since I came to the banquet without permission, I absolutely cannot lose my manners. So, Leon raised a forced but polite smile. Then, His Highness is welcome anytime. But the next second, Leon was forced to kneel by Aster, who appeared suddenly. Others might think you are the master of the Locksburg Duke's family. Leon apologized frantically. I'm sorry, sister. I misspoke. Originally, Lit was the guest invited by the Chartres group. If she arbitrarily provoked the Empire's third prince, it might turn into an international dispute. This was why Lit hadn't pinned him to the ground and rubbed his face in the dirt repeatedly. However, Leon dared to ignore Lit, the heir, and publicly agreed to the prince's request. This was equivalent to slapping Lit's face in public. If Aster hadn't stepped in time, Lit would have probably flipped the place upside down. Indeed, the one who knows me best is Aster. The third prince loudly condemned from the side. Miss Lit, you are being too excessive. Leon is the Duke's son. He has every right to decide whether to receive me. Then he squatted down, wanted to help Leon up. Leon, get up. You don't need to suffer this insult. The next second, Leon slapped his hand away ruthlessly. With a cold expression, he warned him, you don't need to worry about me. I willingly accept sister's punishment. The third prince felt very hurt inside. At this moment, Lit walked up to Leon. His Highness is an important envoy of a country. A VIP like you cannot be received by just anyone. Not even my brother. As long as I am in the Duke's house, the only person who can entertain you is me. So, you must observe etiquette, your Highness. Hearing this, the third prince stood up abruptly. Then he pulled Leon to leave. Leon, let's go. I'll host you instead. Aster pulled Leon away from his grip. Excuse me, your Highness. Lit chose to quickly end this boring farce. Your Highness, please continue to enjoy the party. Leon is one of us. It is only right that we take him away. Leon, let's go. The third prince, having lost face, was furious. Miss Locksberg, I never expected you to be such a heartless person. Lit stopped in her tracks. That is correct. But please remember, this heartless person that respects Prince Marius very much. Until we meet again. She left the third prince standing there, trembling with rage. Then she took her servants and left indignantly. While Lit was fuming, Luke accompanied her awkwardly. I ruined this banquet. Looks like I'll have to compensate you properly. But Lit was just regretting deeply. It seems my fate with chocolate big tits ends here. Suddenly, a familiar high-pitched female voice came from the side. Lit rolled her eyes, speechlessly. Which bastard dares to call this lady by her nickname? Just a while ago, she was getting close with the male Bodhisattva, and now she's fighting him for her brother. Just as she was grieving that her fate with chocolate big tits was over, a familiar voice came from behind. The source was none other than Lit's nemesis, the first princess, Grace. Instantly, Lit switched from berserk mode to polite mode. Oh my, why is Princess Four Lamps here? Your beautiful and generous demeanor truly impresses me. Then she curtsied to the other party. Rose Lit greets you. The first princess crossed her arms in disdain. TCH, still so glib. And what is Princess Four Lamps? Lit chuckled lightly. Your reaction is really slow. Then she extended her hand and gestured at the princess's height. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 lamps in total. Don't you think I'm right? The princess delivered a light-speed roundhouse kick to Lit. You still have a nerve to speak. Lit clutched her injured knee and hopped around. Ouch, that hurts. Why did I ask for trouble? But the princess's reaction was too funny. This pain is nothing. However, Lit was puzzled. Why did you come here? I am Prince Marius's partner. Lit fell in a deep thought. Wait a minute. You said, who? Is it the Prince Marius I know? Of course. The princess showed off her blinding diamond ring, as if it wasn't enough. The third prince is my partner, because we are engaged. Lit was shocked. What kind of weird combination is this? This is too sudden. Why on earth? The princess proudly lifted her 45-degree jawline. Do you even need to ask? It must be because I'm beautiful. Otherwise, the prince wouldn't have proposed to me. You have no idea how considerate the prince is. Lit gritted her teeth and held back. Your man was long ago bewildered by Leon. The reason for her surprise at their engagement was actually that the man, in every reincarnation loop, that would propose to someone from our country. The first time was Leon. The second time was also Leon. They even got married the second time. The third time was Lit herself. But after Leon passed away, their relationship broke down. Although in the 22 loops, he had been engaged to people from other countries 4 times, the third prince's behavior was truly suspicious. This time the engagement partner is our country's princess. Princess, I advise you to stay away from the third prince. As soon as she finished speaking, she was loudly refuted by Grace. Why? What are you plotting? Confess. Are you jealous of me because you have a bad relationship with your fiancé? You thunder freak, you're actually kind of cute. Lit was speechless. Suddenly, waves of pain came from her stomach and waist. She finally couldn't hold on and flopped on her knees. The princess and Aster were shocked. Aster quickly crouched down to support Lit, his tone full of worry. Miss, are you all right? Shall we go back first? The princess also asked worriedly from the side, what's wrong with you? Lit forced herself up and spoke weakly, I'm fine. Don't mind me. I'm sorry for speaking wrongly just now. You are a match made in heaven. But the next second, she coughed up 300 caddies of blood. Amidst everyone's exclamations, Lit looked up trembling. Don't worry about me. I'm fine, it doesn't matter. Anyway, my time has come. If you tell the truth, maybe my illness will be cured immediately. But don't mind it. This is just my insignificant dying wish. I'll tell you, okay? The princess swallowed hard. Actually, Lit was very anxious. Hurry up and say it. Otherwise, this chapter won't end. Unexpectedly, a figure suddenly appeared in front of her, interrupting the princess's speech. "I'm sorry, sister. I really can't stand it anymore. As your brother, how could I watch helplessly as my own sister hurts to death?" Then he roared loudly, "I hope periods disappear quickly," provoking an extremely awkward situation. The princess grabbed Lit by the collar. "You're quite good at acting. Haha, thanks for the compliment." Thus, the spying plan was declared a failure. Lit could only drag her exhausted body home. Just then, she discovered that Jack rarely wasn't wearing his gas mask. Jack swung the mask in his hand. "I have another use for it later. You'll know soon." The next second, the mask smashed straight into Johann's face. The princess crossed her arms and said arrogantly, "Your Locksberg family really has no good people. Why play games? Couldn't you just ask me directly? Seeing how hard you acted, I can't let you leave empty-handed." Then her eyes filled with helplessness and sadness. "Actually, I got engaged to him to cure my eyes, because I heard that the Pope of the Largo Empire has a way to cure my eye disease." Night fell. For people sat in the carriage returning to the estate, each with their own thoughts. "Sister will probably hate me for the rest of her life. No matter what, I shouldn't have used force on young Master Leon in public. Damn it, it's all my fault for agreeing. Next time I must seek revenge on Johann." Lit was puzzled. Is it to cure eyes again? But why did the third prince have to seek someone from the Empire? The four of them let out a sigh in unison. Meanwhile, Glenn, who was far away, also let out a sigh. "My lord, this is an urgent letter from the Locksberg Duke's family." Previously, there was the loving father's legacy, chopping his daughter's 1.8-meter nose bridge with a bare hand. Later, there was the loving father's gentle teaching. If you have something to say it quickly. If not, get lost. What a touching scene of paternal love and filial piety. "You unfilial daughter, you're blocking me from feeding the pigeons. Go away." Lit was heartbroken. Is this the attitude towards his invincible, cute, precious daughter? She then turned to leave with Aster. "I want to host the third prince at the mansion. I've said my piece. Goodbye." The next second, the Duke grabbed her. "Explain the reason." A moment later, after learning the situation, the Duke spat out 9 grams of stars. "It seems this marriage alliance is indeed related to the Pope. After all, our country has no priests. So-called priests are simply magicians with healing abilities. Just like how Lit's master was struck by lightning as a child, and his internal magic turned into the lightning attribute, one can obtain related attributes in the same way. However, to obtain healing magic, one must have devout faith. Lit's country only upholds materialism, and the people scoff at religion. In contrast, the Largo Empire, because of the Pope's existence, can use healing magic to show so-called miracles. But if it were really that effective, that old geezer Chartres would have cured his diabetes long ago. So there must be a trick. The three immediately struck a Chinibu pose. "Let's play a game of diversion." Lit read the script without emotion. "So what is the mission objective?" While the third prince is visiting, send someone to turn the royal guest room upside down. Perfect. Thus, Lit began writing an invitation to the third prince. As for the reason for inviting him, of course, it wasn't to admire his sexy body in a secret, enclosed place. It was to destroy his engagement with the first princess. She had to use some unconventional methods. Extract from the third prince his purpose for approaching the kingdom's high-ranking officials, and what role he plays in it. Also relevant intelligence on whether he is confident in his body. Then grab some leverage, frame him for few things, and finally deport him. Just then, a maid pushed open the door and shouted, "Miss." A letter came from over there. The melonhead Lit was ecstatic. "Really?" "Yes, it's a fragrant and soft handwritten reply from Lord Glenn." "Give it to me. Why are you only telling me now? I've sent dozens of reflection letters during this time, but this is the first time I've received a reply." Unexpectedly, there were only a few lines of request on it. "Please send a soldier with good legs to the mountainous region." Lit was speechless. Damn, he was truly perfect. He had been trained by her father into a good boy who says what needs to be said and tells you to get lost if there's nothing. Although a bit regrettable, since she received his request for support, she couldn't ignore it. It seems only that person can undertake this heavy responsibility. He is Wilbur's subordinate. This guy will do anything to achieve his goals. Trash among trash. Relying on years of investigation and tracking by Wilbur, and father's gentle and kind methods, we successfully took Frodo under our wing. Thinking back, this kind of person is perfect for dealing with those bandit groups. However, recalling Glenn's cold words of request just now, Lit still felt a sense of loss. He's really so cold to me. But even so, he added a little star full of love at the end. She then beckoned Aster to deliver the letter. However, as soon as Aster opened the door, that he saw Leon slumped on the ground, posing in a posture a straight man couldn't come up with even in death. Trembling, hello. Lit spoke helplessly. Come in quickly. Why are you standing there? Seeing his hesitant, shy appearance, he must have finished his adult education class. It seems you now understand what the affairs between men and women are. Leon's face turned pale. Very awkward. I didn't have the courage to come find you. It seems this kid is still blaming himself for the social death scene at the banquet. Lit decided to give him a chance to repent. So what did you come to find me for? Can you tell me who the guest we are hosting this time is? Prince Marius. Are you satisfied? Leon was very worried. Why is His Highness coming here? What are you planning to talk to him about? Lit, not on the same wavelength, didn't understand. About the engagement, of course. Leon was scared straight into a world-famous painting expression. Engagement? And with the third prince? That's right. I was shocked at the time, too. Leon's eyes that suddenly became firm. In that case, please let me receive the third prince when the time comes. Scared, Lit leaped over the desk. No, what if you mess it up again? Under Leon's persistent begging, the kind and beautiful Lit finally softened. Since that's the case, now let's switch scenes directly. The morning a few days later, Luke accompanied the third prince to the venue. Who wouldn't say I'm dizzy looking at chocolate big tits wealthy chest muscles? Unexpectedly next, a button, unable to withstand the 1,000-ton pressure from the third prince's chest, that was blown straight thousands of meters away. The perverted duo began a race to snatch the button. It was a button that could determine a man's innocence. Whenever a man walked in front of it, that it would order a world-famous dish for them. Otaku are disgusting. Just now, the third prince, with his hands behind his back like an old cadre, exclaimed, "This place is really nice." Luke nodded in agreement. Indeed, it is nice. But he slandered in his heart, but not as nice as your muscles. The weird family had posed in advance at the door. Welcome to the Locksburg Duke's estate. Seeing Leon, the third prince's dark face blushed. Thank you for your warm hospitality. It's truly touching. Lit welcomed him warmly. Of course. Let's get this party started today, all right? Then she looked up and peeked frantically at the third prince. Although you are a beautiful muscle man prince, you shouldn't dress so casually. The buttons on your chest are about to burst. The buttons were desperately resisting the high pressure from the third prince's chest. For the master, we will never give up. Lit wiped a tear from the corner of her eye with gratification. Buttons, neither I nor the audience will ever forget your sacrifice. Then she reminded Leon, let's begin now. Leon handed a manual to the third prince. It was a reception process customized specifically for him and Luke. The content was written by Lit. The illustrations were by Leon. How is it? Are my brother's drawing skills great? Hearing Lit's praise, Leon blushed and said modestly, Sister, you flatter me. Unexpectedly, the third prince's hands trembled, and he couldn't help but burst into laughter holding his belly. Ha ha, this is too cute. The accompanying shaking of his body made the tight buttons unable to hold on any longer. Hold on, my dear little brother. Oh my God, I can't hold it anymore. It's going to burst. This is mission impossible. It seems my dear little brother has started to speak incoherently. No matter what, we must hold the final line of defense. Then, Big Brother Button said solemnly, if the shirt becomes looser, will you feel better? Little brother immediately understood Big Brother's intention. He shouted hoarsely, no, you can't. Big Brother, don't do this, Big Brother. But a glorious and holy smile appeared on Big Brother's face. I leave the master to you. I was happy to be born as a button. With a crack, Big Brother Button died a hero's death. He shot straight out from the third prince's chest. Then he was rebounded by Lit's steel-like tender face, all the way past the room's ceiling. Luke's 2.8-meter nose bridge. Aster and Jack's defensive gear they had prepared in anticipation. Past the railing of the estate and finally landed in the flower bushes outside the room. Question, what is the total distance traveled by the button? After gloriously completing his mission, Big Brother Button lay in the dirt. Rip, the third prince covered his chest, stunned. What a hearty and dripping ejection. Lit and Luke fell silent on the surface. Actually, they had been observing each other for a long time, ready to strike. The next second, the lecherous duo went crazy, chasing each other. That is my Miss Lit. Please mind your image. I will take custody of this button. Shut up, do you understand? Understand the rules? You kid just want to hog it all. Stop pretending to be a big bad wolf. Everyone get him. The next second, Aster and Jack pinned down the struggling Luke. Do you trust me so little? We're the best partners. You guy, don't underestimate the bond between us. Seeing the pity act was useless. Luke instantly put away his crocodile tears. If you don't hand over the button, I will make the Duke's insurance fraud case public. Since it's come to this, I can only expose your accounts. Unexpectedly, at this moment, Leon spoke up from the side. Sister, rest assured, I picked it up. Seeing Leon holding the button in his hands, looking very cherishing. The third prince blushed again. Lit and Luke were very regretful. Jack was speechless. I really can't stand this bunch of crazies. Aster comforted him calmly, saying, you'll get used to it. Seeing Leon acting like a delicate wife, preparing to sew the button for the third prince. Lit and Luke could hardly withstand the deterrent force of the novel's protagonist. Even God would have to bow down. Too dangerous. I must stop him. Unexpectedly, at this moment, the third prince revealed an evil smile. The next second, he actually opened his clothes. Then let me see your craftsmanship. Lit's two eyeballs fiercely popped out of their sockets. The narrator's wild, censoring mosaic. You crazy Duke, increasing my workload again. Under the third prince's charm, Rose Lit. Subsequently, during a series of reception procedures, Lit could not calm down for a long time. She could only exclaim, long live muscles. Finally, it was dinner time. Now, Lit is going to officially start her plan. She ordered the maid to make sure that thing was ready. The other two were very puzzled. What is that thing? That thing is the most important thing in a normal banquet. Unexpectedly, the three of them started playing thruple drama next. Gulme. A while ago, she was playing big boob snuggles with a male bodhisattva. Now she is forced to be sandwiched between him and her brother, playing thruple drama. Lit was shocked. Can the upcoming plot be narrated? At this time, Will had successfully infiltrated the royal VIP room. Although these books in a room are very common in the faith-heavy Largo Empire, the Sharp will still discover the clues within. It seems these are not ordinary books. He rushed nonstop to report to the Duke. The Empire State Religion Holy Book should only have 6 chapters. Its core idea is to persuade people to be good. But in the Third Prince's Holy Book, the banned 7th chapter was hidden. Those who do not believe in the one true God will face doomsday. In non-pretentious terms, it means the smart Alex of the creator god Joelbu will all go to hell. This means the Third Prince is a heretic. And for a heretic to approach the high levels of royalty, there is only one reason. That is, he wants to spread heretical arts in the kingdom. Originally, if only the Third Prince, that smart Alec, believed in it, it wouldn't be a big deal. What the Duke is more worried about is, if he involves the big favorite in the eyes of the Largo Emperor, the first Prince Lokius, it would likely trigger a bloody war between the two countries. We'll ask, then aren't we in imminent danger? Unexpectedly, the Duke stood up from his desk with confidence. Rose Lit is the successor I carefully cultivated. In her eyes, dealing with the stupid Third Prince is as simple as gnawing on a plate of roast chicken. Meanwhile, on Lit's side, a maid just served a plate of roast chicken. Everything is proceeding according to Lit's exquisite, flawless plan. Lit smiled with an evil, crooked mouth. I don't believe anyone can keep a secret that amidst the aroma of roast meat, dreamy melodies, and a tipsy state, can keep a secret to the end. Leon excitedly raised his wine glass. Sister, I want some too. But the next second, he was served the sleep set by Lit. All right, you go back and rest. Staying up late is not a good habit for children. Unexpectedly, at this moment, a familiar large black hand passed a wine glass to Leon. According to your country's laws, people over 15 are allowed to drink moderately. I understand your painstaking efforts as a sister, but Leon, drinking doesn't violate the law, right? Just a scheming man. Lit snatched the wine glass from Leon's hand. Sorry, Leon hasn't had his coming-of-age ceremony yet. Psychologically, he is still a child. Just as the two were in a stalemate, Leon pulled off his nightcap. He pleaded aggrievedly, Sister, can I just have one cup? The atmosphere between the four gradually became anxious. Aster and Jack were on the side, holding up the lighting board for Luke in advance. What, do you have scenes too? No, I just want to act cool. The helpless Lit was very helpless. After a sigh, fine, but I only allow you to drink 1 cup. Leon happily threw himself into Lit's arms. Thank you, sister. Subsequently, the 4 sat down and started drinking freely. Lit was very confident. After all, the wine they were drinking had a concentration as high as 233 degrees. She believed it wouldn't take long for everyone to get drunk. This way, she could easily fish out the third prince's secrets. Unexpectedly, the third prince's next greeting made her break her defense directly. "Miss Lit, I heard from Leon that you and your fiancé have already parted ways?" Lit could only adjust her mindset and explain with a smile. "These are just misunderstandings. My darling fiancé, that is just traveling temporarily. Traveling to a place infested with bandits? Haha, that's because he said he likes excitement, so he chose a challenging place." The third prince couldn't help but recall Lit saying at the banquet that her fiancé was particularly energetic at night. This point was indeed confirmed by Luke, a man who is not only strong in a certain aspect, but also fights bandit gangs for excitement. At this moment, Glenn's image grew taller and taller in the third prince's eyes. The third prince turned to Luke in surprise. "Could it be you knew this all along?" Unexpectedly, the next second, Luke slumped onto the sofa, drooling and unconscious. Luke was also very surprised. No wonder Luke looked very troubled when he got the strong liquor earlier. Turns out he's a lightweight. This is good too. Now she just needs to get the third prince drunk. Unexpectedly, after 800 cups, the third prince still looked like he was enjoying it and wanted more. On the contrary, Lit was already glassy-eyed and about to collapse. "By the way, Your Highness, I heard you were engaged to Princess Grace. Is this true?" The third prince suddenly realized, so that's it. No wonder you've been blaming me. Lit cursed internally, but looked as gentle as a spring breeze on the surface. Haha, after all, people my age love to listen to gossip the most. Unexpectedly, the next second, the third prince unbuttoned another button on his own. "I feel it's getting a bit hot. Are you that curious about the news of my engagement?" Lit, overwhelmed by the lust, could hardly listen. Stiff all over, watching the third prince sit next to her. What to do? What to do? If this goes on, it won't be a plot the comic commentary can show. The Duke, whose home was miserably being stolen, was currently leisurely fishing. "Are you really not going back to take a look?" "It doesn't matter. Actually, I've always been proud of my daughter. Compared to the son, I spoil her more, because she is a child with a strong heart and plenty of willfulness. Don't worry, the third prince is definitely being handled to death by her." Little did he know, the one being handled was his precious daughter. Lit screamed internally, "Help! Can someone come save me?" If this continues, I'm really going to act out throuple drama with them. The narrator knows you don't like to watch it, so let's skip it directly. Unexpectedly, after waking up, it was Aster accompanying Lit in acting out the throuple drama. Last night the girl was still playing throuple drama with two people. Waking up in the morning, the people in the bed had changed. Lit was very amazed. Wasn't I at the banquet just now? Why am I lying in the same bed with them now? Her head buzzing, she was very panicked. What exactly happened yesterday? Could be I blacked out? Did something unspeakable happen during this time? So, unable to accept reality, someone quickly used the thunder element to activate an electrotherapy shockwave to force herself to recall. The weak current from her fingertips stimulated the fresh brain. With a snap, Roselit's central nervous system began to operate. Master is awake. Everyone take your places. Start playing yesterday's memories. It turns out just last night, Lit was interlocking fingers with the third prince, about to kiss. At the critical moment, she was interrupted sharply by her unlucky brother. Is sister drunk? In the end, nothing happened for the two whose good deed was interrupted. Unexpectedly, on the way back, Lit took a fancy to the delectable Aster at a glance. Then she looked at her delicious brother. Immediately, she hugged them both tightly and fell onto the bed. "Haha, today you have to sleep with me." After Lit finished watching this non-existent memory, her face was full of shock. Then she quickly jumped out of bed. "Quick, get up. We're going to be late. By the way, where's the White Lotus Prince? He has already left, but he left you a letter." Lit snatched it to look. It was Luke's handwriting. "Miss Lit, I had fun last night, but seeing you sleeping so soundly, I didn't disturb you. By the way, I met the Duke before I left. He said he was in a very pleasant mood and hoped to have a good chat with you after you wake up." Some people seem to have no reaction, but actually, they have been gone for a while. Lit lowered her head submissively. "Lord Duke, actually, all right, cut it. The plan failed, right? While someone was sleeping with her, but in the air, just now, I, a busy man, have already wiped her ass. Lit broke out in a cold sweat. What did you handle for me? The emergency security meeting, of course. Then the Duke handed her a page. Look at this. This is a copy of the Third Prince's holy book. Lit was very surprised. This is actually the Doomsday chapter. Correct. It seems the Largo Empire is preparing to go to war with us. So we held an emergency meeting. We poured brain rot medicine into Laos and brainstormed a countermeasure together. If the Third Prince is a heretic, then the First Prince, who is close to him, surely cannot escape involvement. If we incite the Orthodox Fourth Prince to turn against them, then the Empire will definitely recall the Third Prince. In this way, his engagement with the princess will also go up in smoke. Chapter 4 of the Empire's holy book once recorded that a certain black-clad, who appears suddenly, will bring heavy disaster to the whole world. So, we need to send a woman dressed in a black dress. Hearing this, Lit was very excited. That's right. At that time, the superstitious empire will fall into chaos. Then, finding evidence that the Pope cannot cure eye diseases will make it foolproof. So who do you plan to send over? Unexpectedly, the Duke took a sip of new wine and said deeply, "You, of course." Lit pointed at herself in confusion. Why me? I am giving you a chance to make amends. Since you were played like a fiddle, you have to fight back, right? After a silence, Lit agreed with the Duke's statement. Recently, she always felt very passive. Whether at the banquet or while drinking, she couldn't control the situation. Suddenly, a feeling of displeasure surged in Lit's heart. I was actually handled by a reckless youngster? What kind of international joke is this? What's even more annoying is that after flirting with him for so long, we didn't even kiss. Lit flipped her pitch-black silver hair. No problem. Watch me go over there and play him to death. I have already prepared the ship for you. Go back and prepare well. Lit asked, then how many days later do I depart? The Duke looked at his watch and said. Lit grinned. 5 days left. That's plenty of time. I want to take all the black dresses. Unexpectedly, the Duke continued looking at his watch. 5, 4. Then, to Lit's shock, he shouted 3. The next second, Lit was seen furiously splitting the door and rushing out. Damn it, why didn't you say so earlier? Just like that, the group boarded the ship to the Empire.